Carrie Lake coming on.
You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks, happy Saturday out there, everybody. It's been a long couple of hours, actually, just going back to last night. This was not a planned show, so we're just going to have a little bit of fun with this. And I'm going to take you back to, I don't know, it probably happened around midnight or so last night, to what is going on with Elizabeth Lane. We're going to talk a little bit. We're just going to have some fun with it. Yeah.
Real quick, I just wanted to let you know that Elizabeth is in the chat.
She's in the chat. I know. Oh, I'm well aware that she's in the chat.
Okay, well, sorry about that.
I want to welcome you to the show. You can sit there and watch. And no, I'm not going to debate you. First of all, that's nothing that you want to do is a debate. The way that you approached this entire thing was not a debate, and then you continue to lie. And so, no, I'm not going to debate you. You're not worth my time. Not worth the effort. But what I am going to do is I'm going to continue to expose you because you're part of the lie, network that is Candace Owens and all her other sycophants. And we're going to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you represent. And again, you know what? You're not going to get content out of me, but I am going to get content out of you. But I do want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. Thank you for showing up today. I know this was kind of last minute. I want to say hi to Megan. I want to say hi to Catmandu, Texas Motherbird, Stormtrooper, the Eclectic Journalist, and we got Lynn from Michigan. Thank you for showing up, Lynn. We appreciate you guys. And of course, if you go ahead and subscribe. Down in the description below, there is a link if you'd like to become a member. We'd love to have you support our channel that way. Also, make sure you follow us on all our other social media platforms. We're on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Rumble. So we're just going to jump right into this, kind of show you guys and take you through where this began yesterday. Let's see. Here we go right here. This right here, folks, I am going to throw this screen up. And this is where it all began, even though that we have Elizabeth Lane continuing to go around and, try to rewrite history, try to play her games and push the propaganda that she likes to push, but we're not going to have any of it. So I posted this yesterday. I was talking about Candace Owens, and it's worth reading. Candace Owens become the archetype of a toxic, vengeful woman who embodies jealousy, narcissism, gossip, slander, malice, deception, viciousness, revenge, false narratives, incitement, smear campaigns, sadism, betrayal, manipulation, duplicity, hypocrisy, ruthlessness, grifting, projection, backstabbing. She weaponizes it all, turning personal grudges into lucrative public spectacles. We see someone that's attempting to take after her, while someone casting herself as both hero and perpetual victim. She has made herself into a mythical or biblical parable, a living cautionary tale for men and women alike. And then out of the blue, we got Elizabeth Lane down here. Wow. I've never seen an ugly man obsessed with a beautiful woman before you. Like, we're missing some punctuation in there. You are so original, Gary. Military. Folks, don't forget she's a journalist. You say, how pathetic loser obsessed with the Candace Owens. And then, of course, I responded, and next thing I know, she's going back and forth. And this is the crazy thing. Just like most cycle chicks, she's sitting there constantly just rage tweeting at me. And then when I don't respond immediately, you're running away. And we're going to go through some of her tweets and just unhinged rants that she has all throughout this. But then when I do respond, I'm obsessed with her, which is pretty crazy. And again, she initiated this. Elizabeth, you initiated this entire thing. So quit trying to pretend otherwise. I think you're the one that's obsessed with me. I want to take everybody back to where Elizabeth came from. I'm not sure exactly when I first heard of her, but one of the first interviews that I heard of her, she was actually somehow she ended up at Timpanogos Hospital when Charlie Kirk was shot, which is pretty wild in of itself. Out of nowhere, we have this woman that comes out and she's at the hospital with Charlie Kirk. She gives some sort of account going on there. We do know that she's from Georgia. And you know what? If you want to correct anything over in the comments, feel free to do so, Elizabeth. But the next thing you know, she's interviewing Tucker Carlson. She's interviewing ultimately Candace Owens. She interviews multiple people over there. As a matter of fact, let's go over to her channel for just a moment. I want you to see her channel. So here we have Elizabeth Lane TV. If you guys would like to, you can go give her a follow. I don't really care. But we go down and let's just go down to her first. Let's see if we can find her first podcast here. I don't know, somewhere in here, right? So anyways, she interviews Senator Rand Paul rather. We have, did she interview Kevin Sorbo? That got 7.8 thousand. Apparently that was 2 weeks ago. This is clearly not in chronological order. But ultimately, she interviewed Alex Jones. I think that's a short that she has there. But she gets extremely, extremely low views. And there again, she pops up out of nowhere. She ends up getting an interview with Tucker Carlson in October of 2025. Like, how do you just suddenly get an interview with Tucker Carlson? I'm sure she has a good excuse for that. And then she has an interview ultimately with Candace Owens. She has an interview with Karakaku. She has an interview with Alex Jones. So suddenly this woman that pops out of nowhere from Georgia gets into the inner circle of some pretty big hitters when it comes to conservative media. How did that take place? How did this all happen around the Charlie Kirk assassination? I mean, those are all really legitimate questions, Elizabeth. And when you start looking at who else she's tied into, and this is a woman that is 100% pushing pro-Russian propaganda. She's pushing pro-Putin propaganda. At the very same time, she is constantly talking shit about the United States. I got a real problem with that. Got an extremely big problem with that. You come to our country, you get to enjoy the freedoms. And by the way, the freedom of speech and the freedoms that you would not be able to exercise in your own country, and definitely not in Russia. I mean, you're so pro-Putin. So, there's something going on here. And, I don't know where she came out of the blue from, but we will continue to explore that. If you will, Jen, throw up that assessment that you pulled up. You did some research on her while all of this stuff was going on. And if you will, go ahead and read that. And I'll pull this down. Did I lose you, Jen?
No, I got to pull it up real quick. Hold on.
No worries. Well, while we're over here, let's go ahead and take some super chats and some chats. Hello, Gary from Phoenix. You are one of my new favorite YouTubers. Keep up the good fight. She's not worthy of a debate. I agree. I'm not going to platform her. Look, one of the things that I'm never going to do is I'm never going to talk to somebody that just completely acts out of bad faith. If all you're going to do is lie, and the other thing that we constantly see we saw this with Zach. If you're just going to try to attempt to filibuster and obfuscate the truth, like, there's just no point in that. Candace rules not so tactical. Oh, well, thank you for the $20 and just parroting the silly little line that is. Don't debate fraudster attention whores. She is chasing relevance and craves the stage. She absolutely does. It's just like, see, look at me. I want you to pay attention to me while she's throwing a fit, which is pretty hilarious. Elizabeth is crashing out. Interesting to watch. It is fun to watch. Hey, you know what? Gary is my favorite podcaster. He tells the truth. Folks, that's what we're going to do every single time. And this is the thing. Once I started seeing what was happening with Candace, and I started seeing what was happening with everybody else that are in her orbit, just pushing lies. And on top of that, going after Erica Kirk and TPUSA Charlie's widow. I don't see how anybody can just stand by and not say something and start going through this and say, no, that's not going to happen in this country. And of course, my concerns back in November and December have completely played out to be true. Now we start inserting what allegedly, I will allegedly say, is absolutely a state-sponsored mouthpiece. Like, that's the only logical conclusion. And folks, by the way, there's a lot of heavy hitters that are now doing research. So Elizabeth, you've drawn the attention of a lot of people out there of what you're doing, what's going on with you, the way that you are intentionally subverting this country and the Trump administration. So you got the eye of Sauron on you, and rightfully so. So we're going to figure out what's going on with you and what's happening. Preach it, Gary. Tourette's. Tanya couldn't run her mouth like this in Russia against their government, but she shills Putin here while trashing the U.S. because we actually allow free speech. I couldn't agree more. And Candace, let me know when you, Jen, let me know when you pull that up.
That one hurt. That hurt, Gary. That hurt bad.
I was reading a tweet. I apologize. That was ugly.
All right, you got to switch it around.
I will in just a second. I want to show this real quick.
Okay.
So here we have Elizabeth Lane. Gary, you're still talking, buddy. Ha ha. And still no sit down. Coward, pussy. Oh, and by the way, let's just go over here to our chat. Let's go to the chat real quick. This is how she wants to reach out to me. And where's our unlisted ones? Let's go here. See if I can find this psycho. I'll pull it up here in a second. She wants to reach out to me while calling me a pussy, but while calling me a coward. She wants to sit there and try to say, and then try to get me, or I don't know, threaten me into debating her. Get out of here. Elizabeth, you're a clown. Go ahead, Jen. What you got? That's not it.
You got to pull it up?
Yep, I got it pulled up. Go ahead and read it.
So it says, Elizabeth Lane wants to present herself as an investigative journalist and an international politics expert while attacking a former Green Beret and a service-disabled veteran. Fine. Let's investigate, shall we? Her public branding claims expertise in law, international relations, geopolitics, and journalism. But the specific education, where did I go here? But her specific education trail I've seen points to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Los Angeles. Theater, not law. Acting, not foreign policy. Performance, not credentialed expertise. Her website also claims she has authored 2 books, yet I've not found the titles, the ISBNs, publishers, retail listings, library records, reviews, or any verifiable catalog trail tying those alleged books to Elizabeth Lane. When someone claims to be an author, basic proof should not be this hard to find. Then there is the identity trail. Public information places Elizabeth Lane in Midvale, Utah, and connects her to the UNIFYD/November Lane. But public search records also show associated names, including Liz, and I'm not even going to try to say that, Liz Lane and Lizzie L. whatever. I'm not posting her address, her phone number, or her private information because I don't dox people unlike Candace Owens and her ilk. I am asking a legitimate question. Why is a woman marketing herself as a serious investigative journalist operating behind a public-facing identity that appears incomplete, vague, and unexplained? And the foreign influence concern is not coming from nowhere. My detective reported that Elizabeth Lane, described as an American actress of Georgian descent and a UNIFYD TV anchor, appeared on, it looks like gonorrhea, I'm sorry, a program connected with a pro-Kremlin Georgian outlet media outlet where anti-Western narratives are circulated. So before Elizabeth Lane mocks U.S. military veterans, maybe she should answer a few basic questions. What is her actual education in law and international relations? Because that is listed on her LinkedIn. Where are the degrees? Where are the books? Where are the ISBNs? Where does the public record show whatever that last name is? And why does her media footprint keep overlapping with pro-Kremlin adjacent narratives? Because right now, Elizabeth Lane, investigative journalist, looks less like a credential and more like a manufactured brand. A theater background, vague resumes, unverified books, unexplained name trail, a conspiracy media platform, and documented pro-Kremlin adjacent appearances. I think maybe my friends over at the CIA, FBI, and DHS should be looking into the Georgian-born propagandist who clearly is running an op in the United States of America. Secretary Rubio, sir, your people may want to look into this one. I truly believe she may have lied on her paperwork. She is definitely spewing anti-American propaganda. And what was that you said? Oh, yeah.
Look, my job at the State Department is if I identify someone who I believe is present, someone who's a visitor, a guest to the United States, and we identify that their presence in our country poses a threat to our foreign policy, to our national security, we're gonna take that person's visa away. We're gonna take their visa away. That's what we're gonna do. Look, my job at the State Department is if I identify someone who I believe is present, someone who's not.
Now we're hearing a background of that. Jen, can you turn that off? Yeah, and going back here again, this is her YouTube channel, and she went from nothing to suddenly landing these extremely big interviews with Tucker Carlson and the like, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And what we've been seeing and saying for a while, that whether it's Qatar, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, look, there is clearly an influence operation that's taking place. And suddenly all of these people suddenly have these ties. And now we have Candace Owens going to Russia after everything that she's been doing. Look, we've been saying this, like, hey, I've been saying this since December at a minimum, that there are foreign adversaries that are boosting her numbers, that are pushing her content. And why? Why is it? It's because everything that she says is subversive and destructive and an impact, negative impact on the Trump administration. And we see what's taking place with the woke right. They're pushing this anti-Semitic tropes, trying to divide the right so that we lose the midterms. And any country, not just Russia, any of our adversaries, including those in Europe, UK, that pretend that, we're allies, those folks do not like the Trump administration. They do not like Trump. And so anyone that is pushing this horseshit, look, they're going to look at that as an opportunity, and they're going to capitalize on that and what's going on with that. So, here we have off the record, who is Donald Trump, who is Vladimir Putin. I have some excerpts of some of these things that I don't know if we'll get into them today, but look, she is extremely pro-Putin. Here we have Karakaku. And then I want us to look at when do we have up here? The interview with Tucker. I don't know. These things aren't in order, but regardless. So I can tell you right now, it was like October, is less than a month after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And Candace was already pushing all of these crazy conspiracies, trying to tell you that the FBI and the Trump administration were involved in this, trying to tell you that Israel, the French, and of course, you're going to have people like this, propagandists, that are going to come and they're going to insert themselves into this. It's wild to watch. It's wild to watch. And it's wild that so many Americans are actually going to fall for this. It's a little embarrassing, actually, because it is so obvious. This isn't even a good op. It hasn't been from the beginning. But because we have somebody like Candace Owens that's creating all of this manufactured suspicion and creating these out of whole cloth, just pulling out of the air, saying, hey, you know what? I had some anonymous source. Now I'm going to feed you some unverifiable information. And I want you to completely disregard all the evidence over there. Folks, do you understand what that does to our society? I think we should always hold our government accountable. I think we should always question anything that they say. But when we're just taking these false narratives and we're saying, hey, you know what, that evidence that you have that's being supplied by the FBI, the ATF, Utah State, the SBI, local law enforcement, and we're going to say that's all fake. That's all fake. And it's, by the way, it's the same evidence that the defense is going to get, and they're going to be able to analyze, and they already are. And you can, like, the defense isn't saying any of this. The defense isn't saying that you got the wrong guy. The defense isn't, they're not even trying to argue that. They're not saying, you know what, hey, we want these text messages pulled because, you know what, these are faked. They want you to believe, number one, against all timelines and in spite of the facts, that Baron Coleman, for instance, wants you to believe that this whole thing is a lie when he was actually taken into custody. He wants you to believe that on September 11th, he was taken into custody at 6:25 p.m. We know through multiple court documents and through testimony and through press conferences that Tyler Robinson came into custody around 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Utah time, all right, Mountain time, not UT Candace Owens, all right? And then he wants you to believe not only was he in custody several hours prior to what we know to be true, but I guess what we're trying to say is that some sheriff deputy took his phone and created some sort of confessions and put them on Discord. It's nuts. So while we should always be skeptical of our own government, while we should always hold them accountable, the moment that people start running these anti-American narratives and try to undermine our entire justice system and undermine society, trying to convince you that it's a good thing if we accuse people without any evidence and we demand from them some sort of proof of innocence. When we start seeing this, folks, that's an operation. That is psychological operations 101. And you know, it gets a little bit crazy on that whole thing. I do want to show you this real quick too, as we go through some of these notifications. If I can find, matter of fact, I got some bookmarks I want to show you. The insane things that this woman has been saying. Oh, we're going to play this because this was pretty hilarious. We had Regina Connell. She actually posted
means another word. Elizabeth Lane. This is English 101, right? The word pussy means another word for cat. Cat. En español es gato. Pussy is also a slang term for vagina. Why do you only use words like vagina and penis? But before I rip up this English lesson, learn some new words besides cunt and pussy. You will go further in Americas. Or just stay on your knees. It seems you're only obsessed with, God, Lord, forgive me.
Yes. I also want to show you guys this right here because Elizabeth jumped on here. She's got her accent down. Gary, you can use all the excuses you want. The internet is here for everyone to see. You started posting about me and attacking me, thinking I would ignore it like some people do. Too bad for you, buddy. I don't ignore people like you. I destroy them. No one. Now, one more time, you have a chance to sit down and debate. Are you still going to run? Great. Let the record show it. Gary is going to run like all the others before him. You keep talking, and I'll keep responding to your bullshit. You don't get to run away from me. Too bad for you, buddy. First of all, if you think I'm afraid of you or that you can intimidate me into creating content for you, you're out of your mind, Elizabeth. I'm not afraid of you. I think this is hilarious. This is you throwing a fit. But I also want to just point out that this is a lie. This is an absolute lie. Oh, yeah, now she's going to talk to my wife. Talk to my wife. See how that works out for you. But I do want to take you back here, and I did post.
That is not going to end well for her.
Well, for you at all. And I'm going to pull up some of the other, like the mouth on you. Yeah, like you are not the type of woman that any respectable man would ever want. I mean, it's just a fact. Like, I don't know, like, and I feel sorry for you because you may spend all this time making yourself look pretty, and that's questionable, but you can spend all that time with these outward appearances. And if you are miserable on the inside, which everything that I'm seeing here clearly indicates that, you need to freaking, number one, you need to get right with God. You need to find some time to pray. And you need to find you need to get saved. And then like a lot of these other things will work themselves out. It's as simple as that. But, you know, here we go. Pussy, 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 cunt this, cunt that. I mean, it's no, you're not a person I would want to hang out with. You're not going to find a respectable husband that way. And that's, you know, I don't know what to say. And, you know, I think there's some, again, I don't know if you are working for someone. I mean, I have my suspicions on that. All I have is what you present as evidence of those things. And there's some major red flags when it comes to that. Here we go. I have criticized Putin countless times for being weak and not taking out a demon in Ukraine called Zelensky. So the real problem here is that Putin is not killing enough people. That's what's going on here. I was trying to find the one where I actually listed and showed you that you're lying. And this is what you do time and time again. Oh, we're going to play this in just a second too. Oh, chicks on the right. Love those girls. Yeah, look at this post. I missed this one completely. Shady Lady Katie brought this up. Says, you want to know how I feel about Putin? I'll gladly tell you in detail how I feel about Putin. You want to know how I feel about Zelensky? I'll tell you that too. Just grow some balls and come debate. What's wrong? You want to know what my favorite sexual positions are? No, I don't want to know what your favorite sexual positions are. Like, I don't know what kind of dudes you're used to hanging out with, but you need to find some different people to hang out with because what you're doing is absolutely nuts. Again, Elizabeth Lane, lying Putin propagandist, caught lying again. She claims you started posting about me and attacking me. The only thing she got right, the internet is here for everyone to see. First interaction that I had with you was right here. This is it. So don't come at me trying to say that I started all this. That was somebody's version of her, which I think they were very overly generous there. But let's talk about what you said regarding Charlie Kirk, because I'll be honest with you, just from the reaction that Candace had, I think she was even taken aback by the lunacy of this. But
he came to me in my dream, which was weird, and I was worried.
Let's go back to
I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I never met Charlie Kirk, and he came to me in my dream, which was weird, and I was worried because I was like, I don't think I'm doing enough for this investigation because, you know, I don't only work on Charlie Kirk. I work on multiple other things. So it's like I've got a small team and I'm like, I don't think I'm doing enough. There's so much smoke in here and I have to like maybe try harder. So I go to sleep and he comes to me and I don't know, you tell me if that's like Charlie. He hugs me for some reason, smiles, and he's like, you're doing just fine. I never knew him personally.
Just want you guys to look at the look on Candace's face. I'm going to be honest with you. I think she's a little pissed. Like, now you're taken over by grift. You're stepping on my toes, chick. I thought that was pretty funny. But you could see that look on her face. She is not happy with me, Elizabeth.
Not only that, Gary, but she literally slighted Candace while she was on there. She's like, well, I don't just focus on Charlie. Like, that's all Candace does, which, you know, I'm not defending Candace by any means, but right. She's coming on Candace's show and then slighting Candace and then trying to one-up her on the Charlie Dream grift.
He only talked to you. He hugged me. You know what? I'm gonna be as generous as possible here, and I think I'm gonna interpret that a different way. I hear what you're saying, and maybe that's true. I don't know, but I'm gonna say that she was saying, "Hey," because what she predicates that with is, "I'm not doing enough." And I think what she was trying to say, I'm being extremely fair to you, Elizabeth, is that I need to be doing more and not some of this other stuff. So I'm gonna try to be gracious toward her and extend her grace that she would never extend to anybody on this side of it. But I hear what you're saying.
Doing just fine. I never knew him personally, but he was smiling and he hugged me and he's like, you're doing just fine. So I remember like just asking like, who killed you? So I did. I was like, who killed you? Like, that would be easier to tell me, like, who killed you? And you know what he said? He said, the same people that killed JFK.
Oh my gosh. Same, you know, if you were going to transcend the astral plane, you think he'd come up with something a little bit more specific. You're going to travel all that way. You're going to come out of heaven and you're going to come down here and hang out with Elizabeth Lane. I would like to think that the ghost of Charlie would give us some more specifics than that. Like, give me an actual clue here. These people are delusional and they want you to take them seriously. The way this woman talks, the way that she conducts herself, the way that she flaunts her body and uses that as a sales pitch for just about everything she does. And man, we could just go through the different pictures that you can find with her. It is like, Elizabeth, have a little respect for yourself. This is not the way for anybody to take you seriously. This may work for one night stands, but this is not. If you have a husband and you want a long-term relationship with somebody, this is not how you do it. And by the way, this is not how anyone in the actual field of journalism is going to take you seriously as a colleague either. And by the way, I don't want to get my information from this person. So, you know, you can come at me with whatever. What I can sit here and say is that I could look at myself every single day in the mirror, and I know that in spite of the attacks on me, in spite of everything that's been thrown against me, people trying to smear me, trying to create complete false narratives, which both Candace, Barron, especially have done. There's many others out there. I don't care, because I'm telling the truth. What you can't do is you can't give me a material argument against anything that I say. And the very few times, even though I know it ends up providing a vulnerability, but it's just the right thing to do, the very few times that I have gotten something wrong, I've come out and corrected the record as soon as I realized it. Time and time again. And that's something that Candace never does. That's something Barron Coleman never does. I don't really know enough or care about enough about your work to even know whether or not you do that, Elizabeth. I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. But what I can tell you is that I know for a fact you're just pushing complete propaganda. And if you're going to come to this country and then you're going to sit here and you're going to undermine our country, our institutions, and everything that this country was founded on and makes it great, you better believe myself and others are going to hold you accountable. And we're going to point it out. And you can sit there and you can gnash your teeth, you can throw a fit, you can do whatever you want to do. You're not getting on my program other than this. And I'm going to continue to research you. So if you want to come down to my comments, you want to attack me, have at it. Have fun. Better have tried. All right, including Candace Owens and a lot of other people out there. Nobody ever heard of Elizabeth Lane until she attacked Erica in an article AI generated for her. Imagine needing to harass a widow for attention. Hey, Elizabeth Lane, earn your way to the debate. You started it. We finish. I want more evidence of your recording and your dream. Yeah, give us some evidence of that. Elizabeth Lane, I pray for your salvation, deliverance, and healing. Amen and amen. And I do too. Elizabeth, I don't hate you. You know, I don't. I don't even really feel any animus for you. I feel sad. I think you're kind of funny to watch. I'll be honest with you. Last night when you started attacking me, I thought it was hilarious. At one point, you did come after something about I sold out my country. That irritated me a little bit. I'll let you know that. That was the only time that you got me angry, and I haven't been angry since. So you can keep throwing out whatever. You can keep showing the world what a disgusting human being that you are, and that you don't know how to communicate with people effectively. It's fine, but I'm going to be right here, and nothing that you do, nothing that you say about me, none of it changes what I will be doing today, tomorrow, the next day. I can look God in the eye. I can look my family in the eye. And I know that in spite of this not being popular or profitable, I'm happy to do it because it's the right thing to do. What do you expect from a washed up honeypot? Couldn't snag Rich John, so has to resort to slurping Candy's coattails and attention. Gary will never date you, Liz. His wife is hot. My wife is hot. She's amazing.
She's
Lane,
not only hot, she's one of the sweetest people on the planet.
And one of the smartest people on the planet.
Yep.
Lane slurs into relevance by leveraging AI to write a hit piece for Erica, which catches the attention of the woke right. Next, she conducting softball interviews with Scamdis and Carlson. Hopefully, you know, we talk about pattern recognition all the time. I think it's kind of overused, but there is definitely a pattern that's taking place, and it's happening around Candace Owens. It's happening around Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly to some extent. I don't think she's in that inner circle. I think she's trying to straddle the fence. She's a bit different than those two for sure. But you can throw in a bunch of other folks in there as well. Ian Carroll's. I think there is a concerted and coordinated effort to just continue to put out lies and anti-American propaganda about our president. And Donald Trump, let me tell you something, tomorrow, if something came out tomorrow that there was evidence of some of the PDF accusations, I would be the first one on this, folks. I want to hold my country, my presidents, the leaders, our government accountable. I want it to be the best it can possibly be. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to let you people go out there in narrative form. And next thing I know, I have this person that comes from a Soviet bloc country, has all the signs of spreading propaganda. And I'm talking Russian propaganda. And there's all of these coordinated links between this certain group of people. And this person comes out of nowhere and is suddenly in the midst of these people. Like, if you are a professional operative, I can tell you right now, you're blowing your cover. And if you're not, you sure are acting like one. And I'll let people decide what your agenda is. She's another foreign interloper that is playing the algorithm. You need only listen to her interviews or read her posts to understand there's absolutely nothing of substance there, just a sycophant. Maybe. I think it's pretty suspicious that shortly after the Candace interview, Candace goes to Russia. She interviewed Karakaku, an actual traitor. Agreed. Elizabeth Lane isn't even good at trash talking. She's not. She can't spell. She's over there rage texting. Lizzie, you're no journalist. You're a stupid, silly Russian asset. She wants a ginger baby. You're not getting these genetics. Elizabeth, your trash talking would be more effective if it actually made sense. Yeah, I mean, if it was coherent. And honestly, Elizabeth, instead of just reacting emotionally, if you just sent me a text, I have no problem sitting down with somebody that's operating in good faith, sitting down and discussing the facts of whatever. Look, when it comes to the Charlie Kirk assassination, I know this stuff through and through. I have went through the timelines. I've had multiple people on as far as eyewitnesses go. I've done more actual investigative journalistic work than anyone I know. I'm just being honest with you. I went to UVU. I had a 3D model of the entire place made. I've looked at that hundreds and hundreds of times, looking at different possibilities. I was open to anything on this. But what I'm not going to entertain is just, idiocy. Like when you're going to sit there and tell me, or people are going to push that, hey, an exploding microphone happened when it defies everything that we know as far as physics. Is that alien technology? Is that something brought down with the UAPs that we can keep a device, a small device that has such a powerful explosive charge in here that it provides enough energy to kill a human being, but it's not enough energy to displace it from the magnet to which it's attached, a really cheap, small magnet. It doesn't rip the shirt. We don't have any scorching on it. Nothing. Like the whole idea of equal and opposite reaction, completely gone. We're defying physics at that point. So if you're pushing that, if you want to say that there is a shooter in a different location, the palm guns, whatever it is, that's where all this started for me. I was like, hey, that isn't true. That isn't true. That isn't true. Debunking BS. And then the next thing I know, I see what Candace is doing. And it's far worse because I don't even know what her theory is anymore. Like we had the French, we had Israelis, now we have TPUSA. Tyler Robinson was involved, but he never came on campus. Where'd the shot come from? Like, what is your evidence of any of this stuff? You know, the French are now going to do a hit on Candace Owens. Where's the evidence? We haven't even seen an email. We haven't seen an email. And you said you texted somebody that you know at the FBI. Think about that, folks. Think about how ridiculous that is. My family and I are now the subject of a multinational hit squad. A very sophisticated, like this isn't, you know, Guidos and Knuckles down the road coming after you. These are highly trained operatives. And I'm going to just text somebody at the FBI. And when they leave me on red, I'm just going to like, oh, well, I tried. BS. Like none of it's believable. None of it. We've seen zero evidence of a single material claim, but that's enough for a lot of people out there. They want to believe this stuff so hard. And I get it. Like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are living boring lives that are automatically predispositioned to believe that the government is against them, or they have, you know, these biases or prejudice with Jews in Israel. We all approach life with bias. We all do. And we just need to be aware of that so that we don't get sucked into these things. We all do. So look, I default every time, like my government's guilty, because that's my job as an American citizen, to hold them accountable. But when I continue to do the research and I've gone to UVU and I see what happened and I see how easy it was, and then I see these people intentionally omitting information. Candace is still pushing the idea that, hey, you know what? You need to be Spider-Man to scale the roof like Spider-Man when you can just walk over that. Like these little things. And even going back to that, to me, the one thing that I think is the clearest, it shows exactly what Candace Owens is doing, is the fact that she even admitted that after that December 8th or 9th episode of the initial Fort Huachuca story, she throws Brian Harpole under the bus, accuses him of being involved with the U.S. military, and that it's that evidence that she's presenting is so clear. It's so clear that by the end of it, the U.S. government has no other choice but to admit that they're involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. She associated Brian Harpole right in there with that. But then a few days later, she actually meets in person with Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk says, hey, I heard about this. I'm giving you his flight information, all this exculpatory evidence. She knows at that point there's at least a really good argument that Brian Harpole wasn't there. But then she platforms Mitch Snow 3 days later on the 18th of December. The 18th of December, she has her on and then continues to allow him to say, hey, you know what? I saw Brian Harpole there, implicating him, defaming him. And just, I mean, that is such clear proof of malice that she never even presented that side of the argument. And that's exactly what the Beard lawyer and every other lawyer that I've talked to said. Like, she's going to lose her ass in that case against Brian Harpole. It is, she cared more about the narrative, the views, the clicks. And I think really it comes down to the narrative. She wants to push a certain message more than anything. I actually don't think, for the most part, that Candace Owens is motivated by views and clicks to some extent. I think if the views got so low, she would move on to something else. And I think there's a little bit of that happening as it is. But you know what? She cares more about her influence, and she wants to get this information out there to damage somebody. I mean, this is what these people do. There is nothing victimless about anything they do. Everything that, like, even with this stuff, like, it is to damage, destroy someone else. It is weaponizing a story to damage an enemy. And we see it. Most of us do. Anyways. She left because she can dish it out, but she can't take it. Yeah, exactly. Let the record show that Candace texted Andrew Colvett about her dream 3 hours after I tweeted that Charlie came to me in my dream. Yeah, so this is an actual fact. Britta, No Soup for Knowles, if you go follow her. Britta actually repost that, and I will share it on my X account because that is interesting. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't think there's too many coincidences when it comes to Candace Owens. I've heard Lane in an interview and she's not articulate at all. The silly thing with Tyler's grandfather, she didn't even think to record the talk they had. That's how Candace got a hold of the tape. Liz went to get Candace. Hey, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, Edie. So yesterday, out of the blue, I had Ian Carroll start trolling me. There was Mel. I never interact with Mel. All of a sudden, she's on my page talking shit down in the comments, and the next thing you know, here comes Elizabeth Lane. Like, I think Candy called in reinforcements, which I think is hilarious. She should have thought twice before attacking an American soldier. We don't play. No. And look, all we got to do, like, yeah, we're having a little bit of fun with this. We're going to make fun of her a little bit. She deserves it. But I'm not going to harp on that. I want to harp on the facts. And that's what I've always done with Candace as well, right, folks? I mean, you don't see me making a bunch of videos that are funny, that are meant to, just make fun of Candace Owens. And people try to get me to do that. And we do it every now and then. I'm not saying I've never done that. But the other thing too, like, you guys know, many people are like, Gary, go after her father, her parents, or whatever, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think that's fair. I just don't think it's what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. But, it is what it is. I gave her the biggest hint that the person who sent me that message has done content with her, and she still can't figure out who it is. Hey, yeah, Dr. Bo Hightower. Hey, I love seeing you down there just trolling the shit out of her. If you will, I don't know, send me a DM. Let's talk about that a little bit. I would like to flesh that out a little bit more. Look, I have a real concern, completely, this is my opinion, completely unverified right now by fact. I will say that we're getting more and more evidence. I have a real concern that this is a genuine information operative. And we're going to get to the bottom of that. And we're going to expose her if that's what she is. Regardless, what I would say is no matter what, at the minimum, she's just like every other leftist journalist at this point that comes here, just talk shit about our government, talk shit about our country, enjoys the freedoms. And somebody that's coming from Georgia, former Soviet bloc, like, these are the types of people that if they immigrate here, under normal circumstances, they understand and appreciate what they have. This is not the way that she speaks, the way that she talks, is a Russian, or you can say Georgian, a Russian in a foreign country, not someone that came to America to enjoy what this country is about, to participate in the freedoms. This is someone that came here to destroy the country, to push these narratives. That's my concern. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of native-born American journalists that do the exact same thing. I'm not saying that I have any definitive proof of that. What I'm saying is there's some red flags that definitely need to be looked into. And I think that's fair as anything. And when you tie that into everything else that's going on, it's just inexplicable. The explicable 180-degree turn that we have with Tucker Carlson. How suddenly this Charlie Kirk conspiratard slop gets dovetailed into and taken seriously by somebody like Tucker Carlson. Before he got involved in this, I thought at some point he was going to come out and be like, look, this is dumb. Like, whatever. I thought he would actually have a little bit of integrity, because I know he thinks it's dumb. But all of these people, the one thing they have in common, the nexus here is this hate for Israel and hate for Jews. And that seems to be being pushed hardcore. And then what that is directed at, that's weaponized. And who is directed at ultimately is the Trump administration. The Trump administration, who is our last hope, folks. I'm telling you right now, like, I can't say it enough. I truly believe this. Like, if we lose the midterms and Trump is left ineffectual for 2 years, number one, the Democrats, the woke right, all these people are going to run like he got nothing done. He didn't do anything for the last 2 years. We not only need to win the midterms, we need to gain additional seats so that they can't stop us, so that we can actually get some of these initiatives done. Trump has done extremely well, considering the amount of resistance that he has, both from the bureaucratic level, legislative level, the judicial level. Luckily, we just got some Supreme Court rulings that are hopefully putting some of those things in check. But I'm telling you right now, if we lose 2028, they are going to pack the courts. They're going to not only pack the Supreme Court, but they're going to continue to pack the federal courts with all of these activist judges. And at that point, the Constitution means nothing, because nothing will ever be, the Constitution will not be used as a standard. Whatever they decide the standard is what they're going to use. So yeah, anyways, Dr. Bo Hightower, send me a DM on that. This is true. Everything is fake and gay. They don't even try to sound smart. You're not wrong. The proximity to Candace sure does give some of these obscure podcasters iron balls. Candace is dangerous. She is dangerous. And what she's doing is so destructive to the country. And not just from a political standpoint, but from the moral fabric of our country. Like when somebody that is evil, I mean, just objectively as evil as Candace, and now we have people that think that she's great, that people are looking up to her. It's a sad, sad day. I love the idea that Elizabeth Lane, fake name, she doesn't sound like an Elizabeth Lane, is Candy's competition. It would be hilarious to watch them go after each other. Two grifter snakes. Look, she's one of these types of people that is going to ride her coattails. She's like drafted in NASCAR, right? Just like, oh yeah, stay in the front. Oh, here's an opportunity. Once she can surpass them and then start creating conflict, that's what these evil women do. They're catty. They're not about promoting one another or anybody else. It's just their ego and narcissism that gets in their own way, and they end up destroying themselves. You can't debate a retard. There has to be some substance to someone and their platform to debate about. But exactly right. And that's why you never saw someone like Charlie Kirk. He was smart enough to realize this. Like, there is absolutely no point in getting in front of some of these people. I'd be more afraid of Gary's wife than she's an even bigger rock star. Please, someone tell this woman to sit down. I'm going to get into an accident. Thank you very much, Zoe Patty. We appreciate you. Elizabeth called Gary so-called military guy and defended Gary. Then an ass kisser of L posted a screenshot of my bio. You defended me. Thank you. We appreciate you. Like, I appreciate you guys when you're down there to defend me. It takes some pressure off me. I'll just be honest with you. It's appreciated. It's hilarious. They say we're so obscure, yet worry about what you're saying. I can't see how any of them can call your content slop, because you have been very thorough and logical, which is why I watch you daily. Well, thank you. That's what we're here to do. We want to get things right. I mean, the truth is the only thing that matters in all of this. Your job as an audience is to say, hey, Gary, I think this, and this. All right. You hold me accountable and present maybe a point of view or a perspective that I may not see, because that's very possible. But then my job is, when you come up with like, Gary, you know what? I don't think a 30-06 round wouldn't exit. And that's my job to say, hey, this is what's going on. And by the way, Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have Nate Vance on. We're going to try to do the most comprehensive study on 30-06 ballistics possible. So make sure you join us. I know that never goes away. But it's also my job to point out all of these people that are using clear tactics that I understand, these information operation tactics, these influence operation tactics, how they are narrative forming and pointing that out to you and showing you what's going on. Like, for instance, when somebody like Ian Carroll and VFT and all these people sit there and say, no, that is a stock photo. That's not the real photo. And while we proved that wrong, going way back then, all the way back to like early October is when we first addressed that. They kept pushing that. And I didn't even think it was that big of a deal. But what I've come to realize is that when they hold on to a narrative and they keep saying it, that is the narrative that you need to attack. You may not understand, or from your perspective, see how important it is to them. But that's why I put out that video. I'm so thankful that, and big shout out to Rage Bronson. He covered a lot of that content. I've covered that content in other videos before, but I didn't really think that was like even up for debate or that big of a deal. And I underestimated how important that narrative, because really what's behind that is they use that as reason to basically say that the FBI that the FBI is the one that planted that gun. And I don't think I quite understand. I was like, who cares if this is a stock photo or not? It's not that big of a deal. But you got to see things you got to know your enemy, right? So that's what's going on. And let me just, there's another thing that keeps going on and it's worth discussing. I keep hearing it all the time. Well, why did the dogs miss the gun? Folks, the dogs never missed the gun. That was a narrative created out of thin air. Well, an anonymous source told Candace Owens. All right, I have sources that were on the ground there. And I don't like sharing anonymous source information. But here's what I'm just going to tell you. And this will come out. And I want you to hold me accountable for this when it does. And also, like, hey, Gary said that a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, a year, whatever it is. This is what was taking place. We had a active shooting event. That's how they were treating it. Suddenly, Charlie Kirk was dead. We have Tyler Robinson, or whoever you want to say, allegedly Tyler Robinson, jump off this roof and flee the scene. They have no idea that he cached that gun. They have no idea that there's a gun hidden anywhere. They don't know where to look for it. They're looking for a shooter, and they're treating it as an active shooter. We still have a shooter with a firearm that is loose in society. That's what's going on. They bring in a lot of people. Well, there is an agency with specialized dogs that found that gun. And the way that they found that gun was not because it was so well hidden or whatever else. It was because they were looking for the shooter. They were tracking the shooter's scent from the time that he dropped off the corner of that roof. They tracked him right over to where that gun was cached. And then they identified it. They backed off. They knew it was there because now they're going to have to cordon off that area and do a forensic analysis of the entire area. And then that's why by the evening, after they were done with all the forensics and collecting evidence, that's why from the evening, we now have a photo that was leaked from the ATF that shows that rifle in an evidence box. It was presented to the New York Post for whatever reason. Right at the bottom, it says, the New York Post says, hey, you know what? This was a rifle. This is the picture of the rifle that was collected near the scene. They had to come up with this narrative and then create more narratives to support it. Number one, that's not the gun. That's not a World War II relic. The word relic, World War II, World War I, or anything like that cannot be found in a single document. Can't. They're inserting this narrative forming all along the way. And then they said, that's a fake photo. That's not real. It has a composite stock. They know nothing about guns. And you got other Green Berets out there stupidly parroting this stuff. And then on top of that, then we come up with another narrative to back that narrative up that I didn't see coming. And I didn't make the connection at first. But it was Candace Owens gets on, is like, I have a source, anonymous source, says that they had this whole area that they were walking arm in arm with one another, looking for this firearm. They couldn't find it. And then we had bomb sniffing dogs come in and look for the gun. They couldn't find it. And then suddenly, first of all, like I've shown you guys that area. Anyone, me and another person, me and Jen, could have searched that area, which is not very large, if we knew that there was a firearm in it. They didn't even know it was there. Like, why would they cordon off an area and search it thinking there was a firearm there? They didn't know. Didn't know where to search. It's so dumb. But these people aren't critical thinkers. So anyways, then she says they had dogs come, couldn't find it, but somehow they knew that there was a firearm in that particular area. And then suddenly the FBI shows up and they're like, oh, we found it. We found it. That's not what happened, folks. That's not the agency that found that gun. Period. So you heard it from me first. The evidence that I just presented you is the circumstances of it. They did not know that there was a firearm cached anywhere. They were looking for the shooter, and they stumbled upon the rifle. That's what happened. One claim I've heard is I can't disprove is that Tyler's Discord confession came after he was in police custody. Is there any known evidence to disprove? Thanks, love the streams. Yeah, so I covered it earlier. We know, so that text or that Discord came in at 7:57 local time, Utah Mountain Time. And we know that. Let me see if I have, I know I have pictures of it. Let me see if I can just pull this up quickly without going into it. I believe I have these here.
While you're doing that, Gary,
Yeah.
one of the comments that Elizabeth made was that she had talked to all of these SEALs and all of these Green Berets, and they were disparaging you.
Oh, I'm sure.
I have reached out to anyone and everyone she has ever publicly been connected to.
Yeah.
And they basically laughed at her, laughed about her. And one of the comments that was made was instead of OnlyFans, it was Only Spies. She's the Only Spies girl. So anybody that read that comment from Elizabeth, you can rest assured that the special operations community is standing fully behind my boss.
Yeah. Look, I'm good standing in the community. I'm sure there's a couple guys out there that I don't like. As a matter of fact, there's some guys out there that I did not get along with in special operations. That said, if something was going down like this, I would have their back, and I'd like to think that they would have mine. And this happens. Me and Green Brain Nap Time have talked about this. That happens in any workplace, right? That said, there's nobody that's going to say that I'm just a, they're going to have personal issues with me, because there's definitely some out there that I've had personal issues with. Jen, let me go look for something over there. I want to pull something up on this. I need to go back over here to this other computer real quick. Will you take some other questions while I do that?
Sure. So one claim I've heard that I can't disprove is that Tyler's Discord confession came after he was in the police custody. Is there any evidence to disprove this?
That's the one I'm getting information on.
Oh, that's the one you're doing? Okay, so let me go look at some other ones. And thank you all for being so patient with us. Thank you all for following. If you don't mind liking and sharing our content and subscribing, there is a link in the description below. And let's see what else we have here. Let the record show. I may have already read this, or Gary may have already read this. Let the record show that Candace texted Andrew Colvett about her dream 3 hours after I tweeted that Charlie came to me in a dream. Okay. I gave her the biggest hint that a person who sent that message. Oh, yeah, we've already read that one. One claim I've heard that I can't disprove, that's the one Gary's working on. Thank you for always speaking the truth, and God bless you and yours. Thank you, Cherokee Chick. You are amazing. Gary, go right back in.
Yeah, I want to throw this one in. I still look for that one. This one's the most important one. Gary is a rare, handsome, redheaded man. My daughter and I are redheads, so I know y'all. No, you know. Really the most important one of this entire thing. I'm going to come back to that. I'll find some. Really, what it comes down to, you can even go back to the Turkey Tom videos, and they show screenshots of the Discord chats with the right timestamp. Where that original, this whole thing came about was through Baron Coleman, and what he was doing, he was exploiting gaps in information. There is, in one of the documents, I'd have to pull it up. I covered this at length before. But one of the documents, the court documents, I think it's in motion to exclude cameras. It talks about that he is being read his rights. He's being Mirandized, Tyler Robinson, at 6:25 p.m. the night of his arrest, or the evening of his arrest. The problem is that technically or officially, and there is a lot of evidence to say this, even though he was taken into custody on the 11th, he wasn't actually arrested officially until like 4 a.m. on the 12th. And so I also want everybody to think about this too. So now we have this person that's saying that he killed Charlie Kirk. They have zero evidence of this. I mean, if I'm a detective and I've talked to some law enforcement, I know that they do it both ways. I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. if this guy is saying he is the suspect of the century when it comes to one of the biggest assassinations that's ever taken place in this country that will go down in history, right? They're going to want to have the evidence before they start questioning him. They want to do it right. So you can understand that at like 9 p.m. on the 11th, when he's taken into custody, he comes in, he explains, he is confessed through a friend, essentially. So the sheriff now knows or believes that he has this person is allegedly the person that killed Charlie Kirk. Well, and they talk about this. They start executing search warrants right there while he's waiting in this room with his parents. That was another thing that they were trying to say, that he wasn't with his parents. I mean, just false narrative after false narrative. That should be a clue of what these people have done from the very beginning of this. They've intentionally muddied the waters. They've attempted to confuse you, obfuscate the truth so that you believe bullshit. That's what they want you to do. And a lot of people are convinced of this. So anyways, now we have this person in custody. They're waiting for SBI or federal agents to come actually question this guy. But at the same time, they're executing search warrants. So they have the evidence for probable cause. Because right now, I mean, there's a lot of people that, go in and confess to crimes that they didn't commit. A lot of whack jobs out there. And on top of that, a confession probably isn't enough for probable cause. I don't know about that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know something I don't when it comes to that. So anyways, they go and they execute the search warrant. Like 1 a.m. that night is when they're questioning Lance Twiggs. Late in the night, they're going through and processing that entire apartment of theirs and getting other information and other evidence from his parents' house as well. So at some point, they transport Tyler Robinson from there at the sheriff's to the jail. And according to the documents, his official, and you know what, I'm going to pull this up. Let me see. I believe that's an image file that I have. Because this is an important thing, because this goes back to what I was saying before. This is something that they're trying to push that is not true. All right, here we go. Here's one of the documents. So here is County of Utah, State of Utah, affidavit for probable cause. On 9/12/2025, 04 a.m., the defendant was arrested for the offense of aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice. So where did they get those charges from? From his admission? For instance, where did this obstruction of justice come from? Do you know? This obstruction of justice come from probably from a couple of other places too, but he actually told Lance Twiggs to burn that letter to get rid of it. He was telling him to obstruct justice and get rid of evidence. So that's not going to be he's not going to be arrested the night, right? They're collecting all that information, and then we have the official arrest time. So in that additional court documents, it talks about him being Mirandized and then interrogated at 6:25 p.m. Well, that is 6:25 p.m. of the 12th. And he's being Mirandized. You better believe at 04 a.m. he got Mirandized. He probably was Mirandized 3 or 4 times. Like, hey, guess what? You're in the sheriff's office. We're recording this. Just know that you have the right to remain silent. All the things. All right. Doesn't mean he was necessarily arrested at that point, or that wasn't the official arrest time. And then when he's actually arrested, you better believe they're going to Mirandize him again, just for process, to make sure that nothing gets thrown out on technicality. But anytime they do an interrogation, of course, they're going to video him being Mirandized. And what Baron Coleman and others have tried to say, like, oh, he was Mirandized. So clearly that was the first time that he was arrested. And it says 6:25 p.m., but it doesn't say the date. So what they're trying to say is that he was actually in custody at 6:25 p.m. the previous day, and that this whole thing is a lie. And so that Discord message that went out at 7:57 Mountain Time, his time, that confession was completely fabricated by the FBI. You see what's going on here? You see just how malicious and underhanded these people are? They're constantly narrative forming. And they're thinking this out. And what they're doing is not unsophisticated. I was trying to think of the other thing that we were going to look up. Oh, let me see if I have. Well, you guys can look it up. If you haven't watched the Turkey Tom videos, you need to go watch both of those. And it talks about the Discord chat. And in there, he scrolls on that screen is Tyler Robinson's confession. You need to go watch that. Those two videos are the most underrated videos in this entire thing because it gives you so much context of what was taking place behind the scenes on all that. Let me pull this down and we'll get to some other questions. They're not being visited by Kirk. They're being haunted. That's a good point. Dang, for someone who says Gary is obsessed with her, she sure is stalking him. I didn't even go through all the reply. Like she was freaking texting and posting either a reply or taking one of my reposts. Like what was going on last night was insane. I felt like I had some psycho ex-girlfriend that wanted me back. I mean, that's what was happening last night. And there again, it's like if I replied, I was obsessing over her. And then if I didn't reply, she was saying that, oh, you're running scared. You don't want to answer this. Get out of here, lady. I fought the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. I'm not afraid of you. Like, you think I'm upset about or afraid of some chick that's going to say something mean? Like, get out of here. You can't do anything to me. Can I go to Russia and openly work against Putin and the Communist Party? That's what this woman is doing here, and I want her out. I agree. And even if she doesn't have direct ties to the FSB or any other Russian intelligence apparatus, what she's doing is just morally wrong. The other thing, and I don't know the answer for this, I don't know if she's an actual citizen. That changes some things for me as well. But it's still, I don't care. You're an immigrant to this country. And for you to sit there and push these anti-Israel, anti-Semitic tropes, lies, try to divide our country, I'm going to call you out. You have a right to do that. You absolutely have the right to do that. If you're a citizen, if you're an immigrant and you're talking and you were just out there talking crap about our government and our president, gone. But if you're a citizen, I support your right to do that, but you better believe I have a right to call you out. And also highlight the potential ties between you and the government of Russia and all of the narratives that they're pushing through RT and other, like everything's lining up. It walks like a spy, quacks like a spy, looks like a spy, might be a spy. You can't fool or demoralize patriots with Russian propaganda. As long as there are 3% of us, we can deal with the useful idiots. I'm going to disagree with you on that one, buddy. CJB. I understand that the underlying premise, and I think foundationally that's true. But if we're losing elections, because it doesn't take much to lose, especially midterms, doesn't take much. And so far, it's not working. What I think President Trump's like 113 out of 113 of the people that he endorsed. We have two groups of conservatives in this country. There's one that complains about everything, that bitches about everything, and loses election after election. And then there's MAGA, and we win elections time and time again. I mean, these people complain, offer nothing, offer not a single solution. That's what they do. These black pillars, doomers, they got nothing to contribute to the conversation of any of this stuff other than Trump's not doing enough. Oh, the Epstein files. Like, it's so dumb. Paramount Tactical, stay logical and focus on explaining L's lies. Don't get in the name calling BS with her. Treat her as if you would a person of low rank. I do. I probably called her a few names. She's going to get a few names every now and then, but I try to keep it highbrow. For the most part. Sometimes I fail. Yeah. The woke right thrives on people's ignorance. They stretch the truth and manipulate hope that you don't look into it. It's all trust me, bro. It is all trust me, bro. And there's a lot of people that don't. Because it sounds, again, I know what my biases are. And when people start saying things I like, those are the people that I get the most suspicious of. And that's where I want to see, okay, what does this person do? What evidence do they have to support it? All those things. How does one find themselves to be 30-something years old, not able to pronounce several dozen words? especially when you do this for a living. You do, like, we all screw up some words from time to time. I'm sitting here reading, you guys got to understand, like, sometimes I'm reading small print and I'm fumbling stuff because I either can't see it or whatever else, or I just, I don't know, fumble that day. We all do it. But when you, like, rhetoric, she's been saying rhetoric as rhetoric forever. She said macabre instead of macabre dozens of times. What that really tells me is, like, there's some sort of environment that is taking place that her producers and her team don't feel like they have the ability to correct her. Because I'll tell you right now, if, like, I was saying some word really stupidly time and time again, and Jen was never like, hey, you're, you know, the way that you pronounce the word you're calling macabre is actually macabre, I'd be like, I've done that 100 shows. You never told me. You're fired. Like, you're not looking out for me. But clearly that is not the type of environment that she has set.
Well, just so you know, Gary, and I don't know if you were aware of this, but Savannah, the producer.
I thought you were about to correct some word I've been saying wrong. Like, this is not
No,
the time.
absolutely not. No, I would never do that, especially on air. No, but Savannah, the producer, is no longer with Candace.
I know. Yeah. No, I was aware. I don't know what's going on there, but you better believe she has an NDA. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, we got to get a hold of her. Like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. We could get a hold of her. She's not going to be able to say anything if she wanted to. She's probably not Candace that'll just go out and by the way, from what I understand, I've said it. I know a lot of other people have said it, and I just recently saw something that is probably more correct. We were talking about the fact that Candace was under a TPUS NDA until like December of 2025. I think that's incorrect. As I understand it now, it is a non-disparagement clause. So you basically, they can disclose some things, but what they can't do is go after TPUSA and TPSA go after Candace up to, as far as I understand it, December 2025. I know it's a minor distinction, but I think it's important. Little things matter, you know, details, schmeetails. God bless you. I'm so thankful my algorithm brought me to your channel. Proudly engaged to a Navy vet. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Well, thank you. And thank you for your fiance's service and sacrifice. Paramount Tactical, any news on Candace producer quitting Savannah? What's her name? We just covered that. Good. Yeah, she quit. I mean, I don't really know any more than that. And we're not going to get anything else out of there. Because let me tell you something. You know, Savannah knows that if she goes out there and starts talking, Candyland's coming after her. There's no doubt about it. Remember what Candace did to those poor boys that were walking in the neighborhood between houses? It was pitiful. I don't remember that one. I remember the guys in the green hoodies. I'm not sure who you're talking about there, CJ. Gary has redeemed the entire ginger community after the jolly dumbass tried to bring it all down. I don't know who the jolly dumbass is. Oh, maybe we're talking about. Actually, I don't know. You know what? You know what? I'm a little angry at because I don't think it's accurate. Project Constitution. People keep referring to him as a ginger. I don't think his hair is red. I think it's brown. I don't even want to be associated with that fat ass. A booger eating son of a gun that washes it down with a donut. So disgusting. But I think there's a couple of photos where the way the lighting is looks a little redder. It's brown. If he's a ginger, we're kicking him out. I'm not even sure. What I don't understand is if she's a professional journalist, she's not. How is her grammar, punctuation, etc. so bad? Is this a cover for a Russian spy? That is the question at the heart of this entire thing. Gary, you're my favorite obscure YouTuber. I'm becoming more obscure by the day. Thank you, Gary and Jen, for standing for the truth. Such a turn off to see anyone so desperate for attention as Elizabeth, who I never heard of until 5 minutes ago. Agreed. Apparently, I missed some good stuff. Sorry I'm late, but keep up the good work. Thank you, Colton. We always appreciate you, buddy. Colton jumps in here. He might have like 5 minutes. If he knows we got a stream, he's jumping here. He gives me a super chat. It's just something encouraging. We appreciate you, buddy. I really do. Hey, Gary, I'm in late, but I'm so glad you're doing this. Thanks for exposing Candace and now Elizabeth Lane as well. God bless. Yeah, like, what I'm not going to allow is these people to think that they can shut us up. I want to go back a little bit and just kind of let you guys in on some inside baseball. So back when the whole Mitch Snow thing was going on, there were some narratives being formed that Baron Coleman took a hold of, as well as Candace, and they just created false narratives about me. And the unfortunate time, right there around January, when all this stuff was going on, I went to SHOT Show. So I was like, I pretty much didn't look at social media for a week. And really almost like a week leading up to that, we had a bunch of things going on and to some extent. So there's probably like really more like 2 weeks that I wasn't really engaged in social media, didn't really know what was going on. Well, I come back and I realize really what's kind of being said. And I think they thought, because I was gone, I think they thought it worked. And I was like, what the hell you get? Like, no, it didn't work. It didn't work. It's not going to work. And then I went right back at them. But I even remember like some of their people saying like, oh, you're coming back from, if something along the lines like, oh, we thought you were done. We cooked you, all the other stuff. Like, no, I just have a life outside of social media. I'm still doing other things. But I will never allow them to think that again. Never allow it. And had I known what was going on and how they thought they defeated me, but I think it's also kind of fun to like, oh, we beat him, and then like 2 weeks later, I'm coming back at you, and you're gonna have to start mentioning me again in your podcast, Candace, because I'm bringing out the big guns. We're not stopping. Like, nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop me. I don't care. I don't care if I lose all of this and I have nothing but a phone left, and I'm, putting out some videos on Instagram, because I'm kicked off every other platform. I don't care what platform. I'll start a newsletter that's free, and I'll start putting out content. Like, you can't allow this stuff to happen. We cannot tolerate this. And it's not for the government. And this is the problem. Everybody's like, well, why doesn't the government do something about it? Why doesn't X do something about it? Why doesn't YouTube do something about it? It's not their job. And I don't really want them interfering in this. I want you to get involved. I want you to spread this message. I want the everyday American getting involved and saying, no, we're not going to allow you to spread lies. We're not going to allow you to defame and try to destroy a widow that has been victimized by the assassination of her husband. I find it so morally repugnant that people are engaging in that. They're buying it. They're believing it. The way that Erica gets dragged through the mud, and it's nothing to do with, I'm not loyal or associated with TPUSA. It's just like my conscience. Like, I'm not going to do that. If it was any one of you that happened to be the same things, we got Nita Torres right here. I don't even know what she's going to say. Did you see the post, Joshua Carr, last night that he has evidence Candace is speaking at an event? Yeah, so we covered that as well. That's the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. We covered that first, Nita, I just want to say. But by the way, we are going to have Joshua Carr on Monday. At 3 p.m.? Jen? 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have Josh Carr. And we're going to talk more about that and more about this in general. But my point here is that if I saw a random person like Nita Torres, I don't know if you've ever been in my comments before or not, Nita. If I saw the exact same thing happening to Nita that's happened to Erica Kirk, I would not be able to stand by in good conscience and not do the exact same thing. I'm not being paid by TPUSA. I'm not being paid by Erica Kirk. I'm not being paid by Israel. I'm not being paid by the government. I'm being paid anybody but Gary. And the measly few bucks that we make off of social media just through what we get for views. So what funds this is our real business. And by the way, if you want to support us, you throw a .com at the end of this channel name. You can go support us that way too. But that's what funds this. And I take a lot of time and effort from the business, and I could be doing things that are much more, that I could monetize my time much better than what I do here, for sure. But our country's at stake, and I think it's important. You need to sage yourself. Demons and dreamers will be heading your way. Oh, Gary, it's me, Lizzie. I'm not worried about it, man. Look, I'm saved. Like these demons, and it is spiritual. It genuinely is spiritual. We are in it's sometimes almost becomes cliche, but we are in a genuine spiritual battle right now. This is spiritual warfare at like nothing I've ever seen before. The spirit of jealousy, condemnation, destruction, division is at play like I've never seen it before. And I mean that sincerely. When I posted that thing about Candace Owens, she has become the archetype of, like, I think comparing her to Jezebel at this point is defaming Jezebel. And that's kind of funny and humorous, but I mean that. I mean that. I really believe that. Like, she has weaponized social media in a way and started to undermine our society in a way that I never would have thought someone like Candace Owens would do, much less could do. And the reason it's so effective is because we do have foreign adversaries that are boosting this stuff, that are playing into this.
Hey, Gary.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that. I was actually on the phone trying to book a person that you and I just talked about before the show. So Joshua Carr will be on at 3 p.m. on Monday.
Okay.
Nate Vance will be on at 7 p.m. Monday. So we're doing double shows that day. Lisa Logan will be on 1 p.m. on the 2nd, which is Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Older Millennial on Wednesday and Nick Matau on Thursday. And we are
booked solid. Speaking of which, do you have Gray Hughes' phone number?
I don't, but actually I do. I'm sorry. Okay. I do. Yeah.
He and I were talking about doing a show today, and then all this stuff I kind of forgot about, to be honest with you. Text him and see if he wants to jump on now. Folks, what Gray Hughes has done, he just got some additional satellite footage of the exact day. And it's a wild story. I want to save it for it. But if he wants to jump on now, you want to give him shoot him a link to this, and then maybe later on we'll chop this show up and repost it as something else, just so that we don't kind of drag him into it.
Absolutely.
Let him know if he's able to jump on now, and we'll go through that.
Okay. Can I hint at who might be coming on? Well, who is coming on? We're just working out dates.
Well, no, let him know, because it's somebody that I've been wanting to get on for a long time to talk about election interference, and this person knows better than anybody. But you landed the gig, so I'll let you reveal it.
Well, I only did it because you said you really wanted to interview her, but Carrie Lake will be joining us on the show.
Carrie Lake, folks, I'm excited to talk to her. I think she absolutely had her election stolen in Arizona. I think Arizona would look very different if Carrie Lake had become the governor, and should have become the governor. But yes, I am extremely excited to have her on, and I think it'll be a really fun and interesting discussion. Mex Chica, I love the way you cover things and stand for truth and don't back down. You make 409 proud. For those of you who don't know, 409 is the area code in Southeast Texas. It's where I grew up in Beaumont, and still got a lot of family, including 2 older kids and a grandson down there. Technically, the grandson and my oldest son is outside of the 409 area code, but that's where the roots are. They're in Beaumont, Texas. Thank you, Mex Chica. I'm sure we've shared a lot of stomping grounds around there. We're going to wait to see what's going on with Gray Hughes. And another person that we're going to have on very soon, I just talked to the other day, is we're going to be doing another show with Chase Hughes. And no relation as far as I know. But that was one of the coolest interviews that I've ever done. I've been following Chase's work for a really long time. He recently got a new studio. He called me or texted me the other day, and it invited me down to do another interview, and I can't wait to do that. You guys down in the comments here, or even in, I kind of know some things that I want to talk about with Chase Hughes. And if you don't know who that is, go do some research and go watch my interview with him. But if you guys have some recommended topics, and he's down by the beach, I'll leave it at that. So we're going to take a family trip down there, go do a really cool and fun interview, and then maybe spend some time at the beach, turn into a little bit of a holiday for us. But send us some recommendations of some of the things that you want to talk about. I'll hit some of these live chats while we're doing that, and we'll see what we got going on here. Vicky says, what we are witnessing is the word of God being fulfilled. People would rather believe in a lie than the truth. What Candace is doing and people like her is pure evil. I agree. Jill loves Chase Hughes, and I do too. Liz Bickerstaff says, I live in Arizona and I voted for Carrie Lake. She's a good one. She is a good one for sure.
I did text Gray. I'm just waiting for him to get back.
Sounds good. You know what? Thank you, CJ. CJ's always supporting this channel. I'm gonna call Gray. We're gonna call him on air. Boom.
I feel like he responds better when you just call him.
Oh, he better respond when I call him. The obscure YouTuber. People pick up the phone when I call them.
Every time.
Gray's awesome. Hey, Gray. Not much, man. Hey, I kind of got distracted a little bit. I'm sitting here live on the air on a phone call with you. I was wanting to see if you wanted to jump on and talk about what we were discussing yesterday to do a show for. Well, I had, yeah, well, I kind of did on this one, but I think it'd be a good opportunity. What I'm going to do, no matter what, number one, we got a lot of people in the chat and interviewing right now. So I think it'd be good to have you come on. But then what I plan on doing is just kind of recutting it and then republishing it as a separate one regardless. But I think as it stands, it'd be a good opportunity to get on here and kind of show some of your work that you did with this, because it is pretty cool. It's quite a coinky dink, to say the least.
All right.
Yeah.
You can email me.
Email or text?
Yeah, email is easier.
Yeah, no worries. I'll do that.
Okay.
Too easy. All right. So we're going to email him a link and we're going to get him on. In the meantime, we'll tie some balloon animals for you and keep you engaged. All right. Boom. Done. Thank you, CJ. We appreciate you, buddy. If you guys got some more super chats, let us know. I do want to real quick see if I can find some of the. I do want to find those. In fact, you know what? Let's just go to that while we're waiting on him. I'm going to go to Turkey Tom. Folks, seriously, you need to watch these videos. I know 3/4 of you probably have not watched the Turkey Tom videos about the Charlie Kirk incident, and we will get here. They have not gotten nearly the views that they deserve. I think they've gotten more in the last little bit, but I want to find those. Turkey Tom. Let me see, Discord. There we go. Let me share this. This is worth sharing while we're waiting on Gray Hughes. I know he won't be very long as it is. He never is. He's usually pretty quick. Oop. Yep. All right.
Major news outlet. The other picture is a completely original photo of local police at Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs's place, taken from a.
All right, just to give you guys some context in case you don't know what this video is about. Basically, Turkey Tom was in contact with some friends of Lance and Tyler's, and there's two videos, at least this one and another one, where you get like an inside look of what was going on. This person proved that they were indeed had a relationship with both of these. They were friends with both of these. That is proof is provided by pictures, text messages, and Discord chats that this person has given to them from inside the house. And this person really does kind of outline what was going on with their relationship. He even talks about how it was really grossing him out, how affectionate they were in front of him, to say the least, and how they would hear them doing other things. And it gets a little bit worse than that. You can also find this, I believe it was on their Substack. They have a bunch of pictures on that. Some of the pictures that are edited or obscured and or redacted in this, they actually show in the Substack. So either if you prefer to read, you can go check that out. But I do want to show you
across the street. For the sake of verification, he later also provided me with archives of the 3 Discord servers they shared, which I'll eventually go over the relevant parts of. Once this person's identity was verified, he proceeded to tell me about the state of Tyler and Lance's living space. The apartment would drastically shift from clean to super dirty, depending on the state of Lance's mood. I don't have too many pictures of most of the mess, but basically, he'd start living in the living room and just start turning it 2 weeks later. Lance hid fires and empty a van from the apartment for a while because he heated them for but I'll take a brief moment here to sing exclusively from non-existent. He clearly was more outspoken and in some ways unstable. There were Reddit posts of his mentioning being at odds with his family, which are a far cry from the quiet, even if uneasy relationship that Tyler seemed to have with his family. What was completely unknown, and as far as I know, hasn't been published of making a nest in your living room, comes from Theo Vaughn talking about what he did during binges of the white dust kind of stimulant, if you know what I mean.
I remember that. I'll make a nest in my living room.
All right, I don't know where it is exactly in this. We got Gray Hughes in the chat, so we're going to bring him on. But folks, go watch this video. It gives you such an inside look at what was going on, and there's so much evidence in this as well that just continues to verify that we have the right person in custody. And even this friend, maybe this is one of them. But you can see, unlike some of the other ones that Baron Coleman, when a lot of these people are presenting these Discord chats and screenshots, you either don't see a timestamp or you don't see where the time zone is located. So that throws things off. All right. And matter of fact, one of the timestamps or one of the screenshots with a timestamp that Baron presents says 8:57, but there is no time zone on there. But what we find from these is that, again, if that's being presented by somebody in Central Time or Eastern Time, that throws things off completely, and it completely messes up the timeline. What we see from this is that that particular confession was sent at 8:57 Eastern time, or maybe it was 9:57. So that puts it at 7:57 Mountain. You guys can go watch this, and I'm telling you, it's if you haven't seen it, you need to. It's an important part of this entire thing. So let me throw this down here and let me add Gray Hughes to the chat. What's happening, Gray?
Hey, what's going on? I had to turn up my mic. Hold on.
No worries.
I had it on silent.
All right,
yeah,
so you gave me a call yesterday, and we were supposed to have a stream on our own today, and to be honest with you, I kind of forgot. I had this whole thing going on. But you shared some extremely interesting information with me. You ended up making a video about it. You did that yesterday. Folks, make sure you guys go follow and subscribe Gray Hughes. He does amazing investigative work. And on top of that, crime scene reconstruction, the animation that you did with Tyler Robinson, based on all the information that you got from the charging documents, and we also got from the search warrant documents, and you created a timeline of his movements down to pretty much the second, is phenomenal. And it really does, not only does it lay out what happened for everybody, but the other thing that it does is, for me, it's like when you see how much information we have and how much time and location that we have accounted for when it comes to Tyler Robinson, there's no room for really any of these other theories. There's no room for, I don't even know what they want to interject in here. But it is extremely compelling, and I think ultimately it's the truth, and that's what's important.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I tried to make it where it was, especially the 360-degree shot of the Losi Center building.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly what it's going to look like, except the person will be limping. I wasn't able to make an animation with somebody limping using what I was using. But anyways, it's going to look just like that, and then you're going to see him come. It's going to be like, it'll look black because of the distance. He might be a little clearer when he's walking down there. But yeah, I mean, it fills in and here's the thing, law enforcement, the investigators, they have more information.
Yeah.
They have more videos, and there's actually, when he goes up the stairs, for example, under the tunnel, when I was using my 360-degree camera, I actually turned around and looked, and there's a camera on the other set of stairs going up. So that means that actually filmed him leaving the top of the stairs and then turning left and probably going out onto the street to then walk there. I don't know if there's any cameras in that little sort of alleyway, you know, the way, I don't know if I can show it if you want me to.
I got it right here.
that.
So, look, what he's talking about, and we're going to get to a new element of this that he shared with me yesterday. That was pretty interesting to say the least. Pretty surprising, some of the information he came across. But so just to give you guys some background on this, both Gray and I told Gray that, hey, look, you know what, I'm planning on going up to UVU. This is, you know, I don't know, the first week or two of this entire saga, right? So we're looking at September 20th. Well, I don't even remember the time period that we ended up going. I think it was early October, if I remember. And he was like, you know what, I've been thinking about going too. We should go. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's do it. This is the date I'm going to be there. So we ended up linking up. I got to spend some time with Gray, but we were walking around and we were following the footsteps of Tyler Robinson. We were looking at everything. And this footage is from him. And he shows you some other footage. And I want to get to where this was really cool. So all the footage that we see where Tyler Robinson is jumping off of, all right here, right? All right, so this footage that we see that has been shared with us through law enforcement came from that little camera right there. And the cool thing, and I wouldn't have ever thought about this, but Gray Hughes, being the master magician that he is, he took his drone with a 360 camera and he put it in the exact same spot. And he did the same thing with every other security camera that we came across. And what he ends up doing is recreating this and showing you the view of exactly what took place so that you know what law enforcement actually has. So that's the camera there. And then on top of that, I just want to show you guys. So then he created this animation.
In there.
And this is all by...
And then eventually he'll make his way into the...
He has all of this timed with the time of the event. And with using the information and the different timestamps of locations that they have in the charging documents, in the search warrants, all of these things. I mean, Gray, how long did it take you to make this video? I mean, it had to be...
Oh, it took me a couple weeks, actually. And it only got like 1,500 views. I mean, I don't mean to complain, but it just seems so ludicrous, you know, like to spend that much time. And it's so... I went with every little bit of information on the charging documents, timed it all up to, and also with the Bartholomew timeline, his video synced up as well, so I could just kind of clip back and forth. And then also, like there's a 15-minute long video of Charlie Kirk speaking down there.
Right.
And so it's like the audio, you can just sync it all up. You know, I know exactly when all the different parts are. So that's why I didn't want to show Charlie getting shot again. So I cut over to the kid on the roof. But, you know, it's like, you know, we've seen that so many times. There's really no point. I'm sure
Ray, if you want to 1000x your video views, what you need to do is you need to do the same thing. But all you got to do is put one of your animated people in another location. And I don't know, maybe put some Israeli colors or French or colors on him. Yeah. Like, I know I just showed you all of this, and there's no way a shot really came from anywhere else, but I think there could have been an Israeli/French, maybe a French Israeli over in this.
Yeah, it's weird. The version I made, you know how the normal shot has an eagle on the front? I put an Israeli flag. I'm just kidding. Hey, come on. That was pretty good.
That's how you get the views. There's a simple formula for this. So let's going back to the phone call that you and I had yesterday, because I thought that was, I was sitting there chilling out. Gray calls me. I'm like, what's going on here? So give us some background or however you want to do that. And then you can share the video, because I know you did a video on this last night, right?
Yeah, I talked about it last night on the show, but I did a video last night too. And again, that, you know, I need more views for sure. But it was crazy. You know, you get emails, I get emails. This guy sent me an email and he says, hey, I got this sort of aerial footage of the area, you know, surveying, it's like a surveyor's. And I was like, yeah, he didn't send me a picture, but I go, well, then I sort of was curious, and I go, well, why don't you send me some pictures? And then when he sent me the pictures, it was crazy because it actually shows, I mean, you could actually, there's photographs that you can see Charlie Kirk's event with people walking around. It's all piling in, filling in. He's got photographs. These are airplane aerial photographs, not satellite images. So I guess apparently there's these companies that go around and fly and just film, and you pay, it's just random what date it is. It just happens to be this date, but now the conspiracy, not to the conspiracy theorists. That camera was there that date for a reason. Okay. But anyways, it was September.
It's just a coincidence that there was a plane in the sky. Was it
so they did, like, I guess it was amazing because he showed me shots, and I guess it's right around like between 11 and 11:30 a.m., which is cool because that's when Tyler Robinson is in the area, walking around doing different things. But he actually, it's just sort of luck. Like it's 11:02, 11:16, 11:28 or something. But one of them showed a Dodge Challenger parked. Like he looked around and it kind of made sense. And all the timing makes sense. It's weird if you go through and the information, everything makes sense. There's just like maybe 10 minutes of missing time where he might be in a car or something. And when that Challenger, I believe it really is a Challenger, is filmed, I think he's just sitting in that car right then. Because that's at 11:28.
Let's see what you got.
All right, cool. Let's see. So I'll just show you, like, in order, just some random photos. I got to switch screen. Let me get to I'll do the way I did it before.
Wait.
Or like this. How about that? And then you can make my screen big if you want so people can see it.
Yep. Boom.
Yeah, so this is actually from that plane, and this is the house that had I'm going to just go through it in order.
Okay.
This is the house that had the TMZ footage filming. And then you see him, when he's leaving, he's running back behind there. But when he's coming in, he walks right by these fuchsia plants, and then he cuts across, and then he walks this direction. And this image here is 11:02, So, I mean, this is literally only 50-something minutes after he did his dry run. So, man, if this was at like 10:06, you'd see him walking somewhere around here. I mean, it'd be crazy. But it's not in there. And then this is the same shot across the street, so he would walk like this and cut through. Now this shot here is what he believes is the Dodge Challenger. I think it is too, actually. And here's the wider shot of that. And he put a yellow symbol over the top of it, and you can tell it's the same. I mean, see the shadow, the bush, boom, boom, boom.
Can you go to the other map on the back screen of this and kind of orient everybody where we're talking about, kind of? So
yeah.
Show them where UVU is, and then we see his route that you already kind of have mapped out.
Yeah, UVU's over here, and this is kind of where we know that he moved around on various occasions. Okay, and then the satellite image footage that he had it's north of, well, I mean, the crazy part is I had him parked here and right there. It turns out it's on the same street, but then just right up here. And it makes absolutely sense. That's why it's like very incredibly likely to be the Dodge Challenger, because let me just show you guys what it looks like on a map. So the photograph that he took is kind of like from like that angle, or not him himself, but let me zoom out right there. See how that's got the same sort of weird street up there?
Yep.
It's like ding, ding, ding. And then, so it's right there, and 600 West right there. And then I found the exact spot. So for example, what really kind of seals it in is, see these two manholes right there?
Yep.
Right. So then you go right down to Street View, and there they are.
Frame features match perfectly.
and there's the two manholes, and the car was parked right there. Now, it's an interesting spot, too. When you look at Street View, there's a fence there, so it's a good hiding spot. Now, there is a house right there, so I think my two spots that I found were better than this one. But it turns out, I think that literally is the vehicle. And I'll show you this. I got a PDF file that has an overlay of a 2013 Dodge Challenger that I purchased. It's a 3D model I use in my animations, my videos, and here it is right here. So let me zoom in more so you can see it.
So dimensionally it's perfect.
Let me get rid of the graph on here. There we go. So look at where the rear view mirrors are, and these little, I'm not sure what those are, like spoilers maybe?
Louvers.
Hoovers? Okay, watch this.
Yep.
I mean, they're right there. I mean, so right there. And the mirrors I'm going to blink it on and off. Probably the better way to do it is to turn it on and then mess around with the opacity. So watch this. I mean, look.
Yeah, it's definitely a Dodge Challenger. I mean, I guess the only question is it Tyler Robinson? And I think given the circumstances, it is highly probable.
Yeah, I'm like 95, that's just, and this looks like a smaller window, but that's actually just a shadow under there.
So he was parked here. This was parked here during the dry run, right?
Let's see. Well, that's the one thing I don't know, but I sort of think he may have now, because this right here is 11:28.
Okay, so we're at 11:28. So this is right before Charlie Kirk was shot. So
yeah, this is 11:28, and then remember he walks on that street at 11:45. He's walking down the street.
So we think this is most likely where he was parked when he shot Charlie Kirk, and then where he exfilled back to.
Yeah, exactly. Because now we look at it. Look how simple this is. He walks from there straight down here, and then goes this way. And then the one on his dry run, he went down here, and the person that sent it to me, his theory was that that's the house under construction where you flew the drone from. And that's where he parked at like 1 a.m. on the 11th, But he thought maybe he was going to try to go down there, but was sort of rebuffed by the excavator driver, right? So then he goes, okay. And then later on, he does continue on and go this way, but then he decided later to not go this route on the final route, that he would just walk this way. Or, maybe he came down here to check this area out because he knows he's going to throw a gun down there. Because remember earlier, that's interesting. I didn't thought of that. Remember earlier, he is at this parking garage at 8:28, and then he walks over to the wooded area, and then he goes to where Charlie Kirk was. But now that I think about it, he checked out this wooded area, and he knows on a map where that is, I'm sure. And so when he came over here on the dry run, that was at 9:58 when he walked by this house over here, 9:57, he may have looked to see how he could, exfil, as you'd like to call it, after, from putting the rifle there and going up through there. Okay, and that might be what that was completely about, knowing that later he was going to walk this way anyways on his final run up here on 800 South, and then turning south on 800 West. Yeah, no, this is crazy. So look at the timing here, just on a couple different things. So at 9:24, he makes his way back to the parking garage, and then leaves the parking garage at 9:32. All right, so then I've timed it out. It's a 3-minute drive to get back up to, I think it was back up to the car there. So he would get there at 9:35. Okay. And then if you walk from there down this direction, it's 9:57. It takes, I think it was 7 minutes. So that means it would be, he would have walked by there at 9:42, but he walks by there at 9:58, right? So that means he just sat in his car, because when he went, he didn't wear his backpack on that original 8:30 in the morning trip. They didn't mention backpack, but now he has the backpack on, so he probably went to his...
For people that aren't follow this as closely as us, I just want to, so what we what we know from the charging documents and from search warrants and things like that, folks, is that we know that Tyler Robinson drove to UVU. First, he goes in the parking garage of, what'd you say, 8 something, 9 something?
Yeah, 8:28. He went into the parking garage, which is interesting. Well, and what? Hey, let me just tell you this, because watch this. Look at this. This is crazy. And he also sent me a video. We'll take a look at here in a minute. This guy, but watch the. I think this is the. There it is. So in this video right here. Let's see. What was it? Oh, yeah. The first clip in the morning. I was trying to figure out what I was trying to show you. Is this the... Hold on a second. Is it this one? Yeah, this is the one that has it. All right, so look at that. Here comes the Dodge Challenger right here on the street. This is that clip that I went and got from that guy.
Yep.
And then look what time it is right here. It's 8:22 and 50. So 8:23 really when it drives by right there. Okay. So look at what it does. It drives by right there, and then maybe it drove up here for a minute and then came back down, and then drove right over here. And at 8:28, just 5 minutes later, he pulls into that parking garage. Don't you find that interesting? Like just that little tiny gap, you know. So they have him on camera. Also, I bet you after he drove by that house. This house camera here has a Dodge Challenger driving by, and then he turns left right here, and then he pulls into there at 8:28, just 5 minutes after he was on that camera shot at that house. So that just completely lines it all up. Just that little element right there. You know, he's not escaping that part. And then he leaves at 9:32 from the parking garage after walking around campus. And then he would get back to a parking spot over there at maybe like 9:35. And then you see him walking by that house again at 9:58. It's crazy, you know? So there's only like 14 minutes of missing time there. All right, anyways, you can go ahead. What were you... I'm sorry.
No, you did exactly what I wanted everybody to like know from start to finish, kind of what we were talking about. And just for people that either doesn't know the timelines or maybe never have known the timelines. And folks, by the way, again, Gray has 2 videos, now a third, and I think you're coming out with a 4th.
Yeah.
Where all the animation is there. He's created the animation, and this is matching up with, again, the charging documents, as well as homeowner footage that we've seen, TMZ footage. Again, Gray actually talked to a guy, ended up getting his home surveillance footage. He gave him a copy of it while he was there. It's amazing, like if you actually go to a place and do real investigative work, how much information you can actually get while you're on site. While I was on site, I ended up talking to 4 different
that's cool.
You know, and to me, like that trip was so important because it just solidified so much and it answered so many questions that I still had personally.
I've only done part 1 and 2, by the way, and then there's part 3 coming up.
Yeah, but you also released the footage that you have
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So you got 3 videos that kind of take people through the steps, minute by minute, from the very beginning of the morning, everything that he did. And you can choose for yourself. You can decide for yourself, like, does that make sense? And as a matter of fact, it makes more sense, and it's corroborated by more evidence than any other alternative that anyone wants to present you. And I also want to point out, like, I don't care what theory that you go with, whether you're talking about, I don't know, palm guns, the Jews did it, Israel did it. I don't care if you're talking about exploding mics. Like, at some point, you got to reconcile everything else that comes into this. Like, why was Tyler Robinson there? You know, if it wasn't a 30-06 that shot Charlie, why did they go with a 30-06? Like, none of it. The only thing that does make sense, and we continue to have the small amount of information gaps that we now have, those will get filled out even more. But as we've gone along, everything is coherent from one side of this. And you can call it the Fed slop side, you can call it the efficient, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But It's what makes sense. It's what we have evidence for. And I would be the first one to love to find some deep, dark government conspiracy and prove that Charlie Kirk was killed by somebody else. It's not what happened, folks.
And he would. I guarantee you, he'd love that.
I did.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it actually, you got to look into every angle. But this one, for me, like really quick, and I've told everybody this. I've been doing true crime videos and so forth on YouTube since 2012 or 13. And I would say that this is the strongest case that I've ever seen. And it's not even close. Like, this thing is just, I mean, it is, it must be an absolute nightmare for the defense to even try to come up with, they're just trying to get something taken out or, taken out of the case or something. But it is incredible. I mean, you're talking about his text messages, all talked about it. I went over, did that last night. I put together both the text messages, exchanges. What they're different. There's different things in the charging document compared to that search warrant that came out. So I put them all together. So it's a longer conversation. It sounds kind of stupid. It's like AI, and they're just like dumb voices. But it was okay. But you want to see? He took more footage over here.
Yes.
Like it's kind of, he made a video for me, so I can. Let me throw that right there. So look at that. I mean, this is at. Let's see. I just saw it right there. It's at September 10th, 2025 at 11:27. So this means that like Charlie Kirk was shot less than an hour after this. So here's people sort of milling about, and then I'm just going to kind of move it forward.
Charlie Kirk's vehicles are there yet. They kind of went up the middle of that.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And then here's another shot. This one is at 11:02, so earlier. So it's not quite as populated. And then this one is this is just a whole different day, September 24th. But, it's sort of interesting. Like, even on, I think if we go back to this one, I mean, look at this. Right there is where, that's where Tyler Robinson would be not too long after that.
Yeah.
Right on that little edge there. And then I think this one, I'm not sure. This one I don't think it picked it up. It's just right up there. But anyway, so you got that, and then this one here is at 11:36. So this one's even later. And then I think this one is, I don't know, let's see, this one is at 11:36 also, but zoomed out. So it has the ability to zoom in and out. And that's where Tyler Robinson would have been, I think, yeah, right there. It's kind of really blurry, but
yeah.
You can zoom in on this stuff, and then it gets really clear. Because it's like, I think they use really high definition.
Use different focal lengths is what it is. They're switching from a wide angle to a different focal length that is more zoomed in.
And here's like a vertical shot. This one's 11:18. So there's vertical and then sometimes side shots.
And
so again, like
around 12:24, right?
Yeah, 12:23 and 28 and a half seconds. I mean, I know that's where I have it,
so
based on Bartholomew's.
Literally 1 hour before he was shot.
Yeah, and this one here is 11:18. So again, there's not as many people there, but this again, that's where Robinson would have shot from, right here to there. I mean, that's not much different than just looking at Google Earth, but look at that. He's able to kind of move around. And then I think he gets somewhere. There's like a vehicle that he thinks might be. Well, here. This is interesting. Watch this. So this is September 10th at 11:18. All right. So remember, he walks on that sawtooth fence at 11:45. Remember that? He walks down the side of the street. Let me show you this. This is kind of stuff I think is interesting. Let me move it up. Go to the, I think it was 8. There we go. That one. Just got to load up again. There we go. So here he is. He's walking by right there, and there's a clock a timer on this. So it's 11:45 and 46 seconds. He's walking by, but check it out. See that car right there? That like a white sort of, I don't know what you call those, like mini pickup truck kind of thing. And then there's a blue car right there. All right, so now let's go back to this shot and look at that. See, there's that car and there's the blue car. Right, but it's exactly right because this roof goes off at an angle and it goes right there to the back of the vehicle. See that? Now if we go over to this one, see there's the roof and it goes right to the window part that I was talking about.
Yep.
So it just shows you that it really is it's a legitimate aerial shot. And there's this blue car and that one. This car seems to have disappeared, but these two are there in that shot. All right, so let's go back.
I think Candace Owens has poured over all this footage with this level of detail, don't you think?
Oh yeah, she's. you know when you knew she never did anything is when she kept saying that you had to be a gymnast to get on the roof.
Yeah,
it's like
scale the roof like Spider-Man. You also knew that she didn't really go over the stuff when she gets called out by the CNN reporter saying those were text messages. Like, oh no, I thought those were from Discord. Like it literally says text messages right on the document.
Yeah. So look at this. He does like here it is. This is like just down the street. So watch this. There's the blue car, and then we're zooming out. That's right there. Okay. And that's at 11:18. And then watch how he moves down and then goes up this street. And then look at right there. There it is. The Dodge Challenger. I mean, that's amazing to me. You know, I think he's sitting in the car right now in this shot because he'd have to get out of the car at like 11:30 something and then walk by there at 11:45. He's getting ready at some point. You know, I don't know, like probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes after that, he probably opens the door. You know, I'm not sure if he's, you know, he obviously had to change his pants, his shirt. Take his shoes off because there's no way in hell you'd get those jeans over the top of over those Chuck Taylors.
Yep.
You know. So you know, then let's see. So this one here is at 11:18. Now he does it again at this one is. Let's see. Does he just slide over on that one? 11:18. He shows the spot a couple times, and it's not there at 11:08 or something. Maybe it's this one. Oh, that's September 23rd. Okay, let me just see. September 20. I think it's this one, not September 24th. Okay, that one's September 10th at 11:26. So he's still there in that vehicle at 11:26. So that means in less than 20 minutes, he's walking down the street over there. That's why you know he's in there. I mean, that's if this is his Dodge Challenger. It just is parked in the exact right spot that you would think if it wasn't one of my, you know, the two spots I had, is one of them's even on the same street, just south of it. Then, let's see, there's a couple more of these, I think. Was it this one? This one's at 11:10. And look, that car doesn't appear to be there. What time was that one? The first one that we saw? Was it 12? This is 11:10, and I don't think that vehicle was parked right there at that time.
No, almost definitely isn't. I think you said it was, what, 11:28?
Yeah, there was 11:28, but then there was that first one. Let me go back. I just want to get the timing here, because it's interesting. There's another car on the road that could be that car before getting there. If we can get this. This is 11:18. Okay. All right, so that's cool. So at 11:10, that car is not there, but it is there at 11:18, and it's still there at 11:18.
11:28.
And then, yeah, 11:28. Yeah, and then let's go. And this one, these are just like random dates.
Yep.
This is the 10th. He just added some other ones in there. That's actually the 10th at 2:09, and it's not there. No, the 18th. Excuse me. Sorry, it's hard to see. That's kind of small there. And then 11:26. Looks like he's about to show something. And there it is, September 10th, 11:26 also. Because there are multiple different passes by. And let's see. And this one is, I don't know if it has a time on it. Then there's one more video that he did. And this one, see that vehicle right there?
Yeah.
And then this one is at, look at that, 11:10. So just before that other one. What was it? God, now I can't remember. Was it 11:10 also? That there was 11:18 and 11:26.
Yeah.
Right. So isn't that amazing that here's this car. Now you zoom in on it, and the vehicle isn't long like that. Okay. That's a shadow. That's a shadow. So I think it's really just right there.
It's hard to see if it has a sunroof or not, because his obviously does. But
yeah, it's hard to tell.
The vehicle's also clearly in motion, so we're getting motion blur.
Yeah. So I mean, this is one I'm not certain about, but he looked around, and that is sort of interesting that there's a car similar, perhaps. I mean, he put it into AI. I did it too. Once I told, first AI thought it was an SUV, and I go, well, it's not an SUV. But I'd already mentioned, could it be a Dodge Challenger? And then after I said, oh, it's not a SUV, it says, well, my best guess is a Dodge Challenger. Ah, shut up. I mean, I don't, now I don't know if you got it from what I told you.
Real quick, do we have a picture of his vehicle? I can't remember that confirms that he has a sunroof on his vehicle.
We can go back to that surveillance footage over here. I think we should be able to see it from it.
And are we 100% sure that that is his car coming down on the surveillance footage?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can say that, but
you can see the glare if he's doing it. You can tell that it does have a. I'm just wondering if there's any evidence or pictures of his vehicle that have been released that show that his indeed has a. I feel like his VIN number was released at one point. I don't remember.
Well, there's also the shots where he's over in. You remember when the car was parked outside of his house on Google Earth? Now that's blurred out, but I think, man, we've got to have that somewhere, right?
Right.
I mean,
that would help. Just kind of be one more thing that would help confirm or deny that information for sure.
Yeah, I guess
I do think it's one hell of a coincidence for sure if it's not him.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also he drove right by where he walks a little bit later. I mean, this car literally, I mean, it's driving right here, and the amount of time it takes is almost perfect for driving over to the parking garage. And I think the odds of this not being his are extremely low, like it would be ridiculous almost. It'd be like, wow,
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. I wish I could see. It's hard to tell. I mean, even, like you're saying, it looks like glare, but, let's go look. Though that car maybe doesn't have one. Let's go back to the one. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that has one either, I mean, is that a sunroof?
Yeah, right. That doesn't actually look like it does.
I don't know if he has a sunroof. I never thought about that. I've never. Do you guys in the chat? You ever seen him?
One of the pictures you showed, it looked like it was clearly, maybe it was this one, and that could just be a shadow. But if it is a sunroof, it would extend further forward because that's not even over the. I may have. You know what? It doesn't look like there is a sunroof there.
Yeah, I think that's just sort of shadows, and
I think I misinterpreted that picture for.
Yeah, so that one, is that same car that's driving down the road a minute ago that we were looking at? That'd be incredible if it is, because that literally works.
I mean,
because at 12:10 or 11:10, I mean, he's not parked over there, but then he is parked at 11:18, and then here's this car driving down the road that easily could be that car.
Well, it's definitely not a giant leap. It's more like a little hop. We can't 100% confirm or deny, but it's. I mean, it makes the timelines, locations. right play.
Right. I believe this is his though.
I
I think
agree.
this is, I think that that's like 95%. I can't say 100%, because, I just can't. I don't have the license plate. Law enforcement, though, obviously, I think has canvassed the area. And, they never mention some of these residential shots hardly anywhere in the probable cause documents, right? They use the official sort of, cameras on campus, things like that. And interesting, when it says that at 11:50 he starts walking on the grass and it's picked up on a UVU surveillance camera. Well, what's interesting about that is that house, it's right at the same time too, but that's not a UVU camera. That's their camera.
Well,
right?
I think the reality is they didn't need all of the to fill in all the blanks, but they didn't need all of those cameras and all that footage to actually get probable cause. Like we see it, there's enough information there for probable cause. I'm sure by now people have went through this additional footage and they're filling in the blanks. And we also see that from the search warrant information where they include additional times and locations where they know he was parked at, even while he was trying to get back to his rifle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just such a tight time frame, like there's very little, the part that I'd love, let me show you what I was talking about in one of the videos, if I could.
Sure.
I don't think it doesn't show up as well as I'd like, but I think Tyler, came out these doors right here. So you remember when you walk in the Losi Center building,
Yep.
You come in right here, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if he came out these doors almost immediately, or, who knows, like maybe
Walked right
lingered in, and then he walks right over here, and he walked right to this spot, because he'd been there. He knows what to do. And he's just waiting for Charlie Kirk. And then look at this. You can actually see, let me zoom in and look at that. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, it's like from that little spot, you can see down there. And then I think when he saw Charlie Kirk go on the stage, and he got on the stage and started taking questions, that's what he needed him to be doing, because then he's in a fixed position sitting, right?
Sure.
So this is going to be at 12:13-ish is when he sat down. And then think about that. He turns around after he sees him sit down, then he walks over here slowly because he's got the rifle, then up the stairs, and then at 12:15, he's up here, and then he goes over here, hops over the fence, because that's how he knew that he's taking the questions. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I think that is what he was doing. How else would he have really known? I guess you could be online. I don't know if there was live streamed or how that was working. Do you know anything about that?
I'm not 100% sure. It now gets convoluted in my brain what was live streamed and what we saw afterwards.
Yeah.
We know Bartholomew was live streaming for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'd be kind of interesting. But I think it was almost like Charlie Kirk. Let's see. Yeah, we could probably figure out when he started taking the first questions just by listening to the audio on that. And I've already got the precise time on one of Bartholomew's video, because he sent me metadata. See, originally he had a specific time, and I said, well, I need the exact time. So he went back in and he was able to come up with like the precise, minute and second that the video started recording, even though it's dark at first, and then it started, and then there was audio. So that's how I went back and I put the clock at exactly the time that it was supposed to start. And then as it played forward, the shot took place at 12, 23, and 28 seconds. Yeah.
Well,
I like to have like the seconds. I don't know why, but
12, 23, 24. Real quick too, I want to show everybody this, because this is an important part of this. Look, all of this information that I'm getting ready to show you, I have, Gray has, but when people are like, well, Gary thinks one way or Gray thinks one way and these other people think the other way, and most of it is because you haven't done what we've done. And what I would say is, if you're going to determine what is true and what's not true, at a minimum, what you need to do is, I went through almost every single one of these documents. These are all the different court documents, and I've read through most, if not all of these. We have the probable cause affidavit. Another big one was the defense motion to exclude cameras. There was a bunch of information in that. This one right here, a lot of information in this one. The probable cause, and then you go back to this. Let me see where I have. I also have a different documents. The other big one that has a lot of information in it is the search warrant for Apple Corporation. So you can go in there, like, you can find a lot of information. It fills in the gaps. So what I've seen time and time again are all these people that have come to all these conclusions, but they haven't put in the work. All they've done is listen to people telling them things. And so their conclusions are not even their own. Their conclusions are what other people have come up with. And most of these people that I've discussed with and had on the show and everything else, or talked with on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, like, they don't know the basics of the information. They don't know what actually took place, or at least what is being presented as fact by the state, by the FBI, by the ATF. All of these things, like, they don't even, I still have people saying that there's no serial number. They didn't even have a serial number. That rifle wasn't traceable. There's a serial number in the evidence log. It's like 8479. It's like a 4-digit serial number. So most of these people are just so devoid of facts that they shouldn't even be arguing anything about this.
I mean, if you put it all together, you just sit there. It's just, like I said before, it's so tight. It's even more amazing is in part 3 that I'm going to be putting out there, you're going to see where he goes across the street, and that would probably, he's probably in the woods at 12, 24, and 30 seconds. And then he goes, we have it, the time almost all the way up till there anyways, but he's going to go across the street. Then he's going to sort of disappear from camera for a while. And then I'll show pictures of the rifle and whatever, in the that was found in the woods. Then he's going to exit. And I think I'm just going to have him sort of go around and sort of go by the, what is that called? The ROTC building. Mm-hmm. And then he runs back behind the homes. I'll show that. And then he's probably going to walk when he makes it to the street. And so what's interesting is I did the timing of all of that using, Google Maps and the walking time, et cetera. And I even made it a little quicker because he's not going to be, now he doesn't have the rifle in his pants. So he literally gets back to the vehicle where it's parked. And then when he gets in the car, I timed it to the shopping mall. And he gets to the shopping mall the way I had it at 12:43. Okay. But, it turns out it's 12:44. It's so perfect, though, because I'm just estimating some of the time frame. Like if Google Earth says it takes us 7 minutes to walk, it might be 8, it might be 6. Who the hell knows? It's right. Close to that. So either way, he drives to the shopping mall and he gets there at 11 or 12:43 in mine, but he actually in real life got there at 12:44, and that's when he typed in, how to get to the Quick Quack car wash. And then at 12:46, he drives away, and you see it on camera, him stopping to look up the Quick Quack car wash, pulls away, and then he shows up to the Quick Quack car wash just moments later. So they have all of that. Now, where he was between like 1 and 6 when he went to Dairy Queen, I don't know. They probably have a great idea because he didn't turn his damn phone off. He's an idiot. Yeah. So they know exactly where he is. I mean, it's wild, Yeah.
He left so much evidence, and that was the other thing. People are like, "Oh, this guy's brilliant. He would have done this. He would have done that." Like, this guy was not brilliant. He doesn't even talk about it in the text messages, DNA evidence, or anything else. So he made a lot of mistakes, and between the evidence that we have and the evidence that we'll end up seeing at trial, look, they have his cell phone location data. Like, if you want to believe anything else happened, you're believing it in spite of the evidence that is crystal clear. And that's fine. That's your choice. But I mean, You're just like holding on to Santa Claus. Gary, thanks for all the great content. Keep up the good fight. Gray with Paramount deserves some super chats, especially. So please support the channel, guys. Yeah. First of all, if you haven't done so already, make sure you guys go like and subscribe our channel, but also Gray Hughes Investigates. Go support him over there. He's doing great work. Alec Cake, thank you very much. Get to Five Gray Hughes Investigates.
Yeah, I went live on my channel just really quick, anyways. So what the hell, right?
I'm glad you did.
I was like, "Wait, it's available." I didn't know that. I didn't know that just randomly like that I could do that. But
yeah, absolutely. Get the 5 Gray Hughes Investigates memberships. Thank you guys. Thank you for supporting Gray. You'd be surprised how often street cops have to go door to door looking for security camera footage with certain cases. If it's a business, they can just send a subpoena. Cops can find the private videos. Yes. Do you have any concerns with the government ties to Israel AIPAC? I've talked about this on the show dozens and dozens and dozens of times. We've compared the different lobby groups from CARE to AIPAC to many others. First of all, AIPAC is way down at the bottom. It's not even in the top 10 of the lobby groups. I'm concerned. I'm always concerned about money in politics. I don't have a good answer for you, and I don't think anyone else does. The other thing you have to realize is that AIPAC, these are Americans. A in AIPAC stands for American. So these are American citizens, and not all Jewish, by the way. Just other people that support Israel and are support of Israel. They support American support of Israel for all kinds of different reasons. So these are people that are taking their own money and they are putting it into this PAC that allows them to lobby Congress on their behalf and the things that they want to see done. But that happens with all kinds of different groups all throughout the country. And AIPAC is not the most powerful. It's not even close. So, I don't have a good answer for you. I think that if I want to give $10,000 of my own money to a certain candidate or a certain cause, I should be able to do that. That is a First Amendment right. One of the things I've said time and time again, I think that capitalism is the truest form of democracy. You can vote for whatever you want, but the real power is taking your hard-earned cash and time and putting it behind a cause. That's how you really support an effort in the United States. So I think that is directly tied, obviously, and so does the Supreme Court. That's directly tied to the First Amendment. I think it's complicated, right? So, and again, I don't think that Israel is the biggest problem. Israel is far, like, what everybody turns this anti-Semitic narratives into. It just falls apart under the weight of itself. We have 0.2% of the world population supposedly running all of the U.S., that they're controlling Trump. Like the idea that Israel controls Trump, again, is just, you have to be not very smart. I'm trying to be as kind as possible today. You have to be not very smart to believe that Trump is controlled by Israel. It's as stupid as the 2016 narrative that Russia controls Trump. It's just, as a matter of fact, it's the same exact psyop. It's the same exact information operation, influence operation, trying to get you and other people to hate Trump or to believe something that's not true so that it affects your vote or they want you to stay home. A lot of this is demoralization, and you just get confused by what's being said out there. Like, I'm just not voting. That's what they want. 100%.
I guess somebody just sent you a picture of his car being towed underneath your X video, apparently. If you want to show it, I don't know if it shows the roof or not, but
let me see. They sent it to me on X.
Yeah, that's what somebody said in the comments.
All right, let me see. I'm not seeing it, Jen. I don't know if you see that anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I just tried to go look for it. I didn't see it. Well, how about this? Whoever wrote that in there, does it have a sunroof or not? That's all we need to know. Did it have a sunroof or not on there? When it's being towed? I don't think it did. I don't remember seeing one on there. I've never thought of it as having one.
Yeah. We'll get that answered. Unlike Candace chasing Gary, will actually go to the scene and ask for private footage. Candace just has a tip line. Gray Hughes
Who's Chase?
Chase used. I was just talking about him. I think that's why.
Oh, I always get. I'd be like, my diploma from college said Gary on it. Okay, so hey, just change the last name. You got another degree, man.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about the body cam videos? Does that show his car from when he had the car accident? It's a good question. I don't think it was the same car. I want to
What
say
about
it was
the body cam video? Does that show
When he-
his car?
when Candace is talking about whether or not he says vehicle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's the same car if I remember correctly, but we have to look that up. The blank search warrant for Apple account tells me a lot. LE can immediately put a secure hold to a social media or phone account. They just take everything before it's deleted until the warrant is approved. Agreed. Folks, I mean, they have a ton of information. Like, the only thing that's left open for me on Tyler, just based on the evidence, is whether or not other people knew, or whether or not he was radicalized, recruited, weaponized, or directed at something online or even in person. When you start looking at I always screw this name up, the gun queers for SLC or whatever it is. When you start looking at that group, did they have direct contact with them? Was there something going on with that? I still have questions with that. We don't have any evidence of it, but it's just I think logical questions. I don't know if they have investigated that. They could have also, all of that could be true, and they just don't have the evidence to pursue it. That's the other part of it. They could have
sure.
let's meet at the gun club, and they
Yeah.
meet up with people, and then let's say that it had a big conspiracy and this was planned out and several people were involved. Unless they get a confession from Tyler Robinson saying that, and or have some other sort of evidence, like they could get away with that very easily.
You know, that's one of the only angles that I could see too. But then because I believe that their text exchange was real. Like, I think that was absolutely legit. And I don't think it was meant to throw people off and stuff. So the thing is it didn't seem like Lance Twiggs, I bet you anything, they hated Charlie Kirk, and they've even talked about, man, I wish somebody would do something. But then maybe Tyler just sort of came up with the plan and acted out, and then that's why he was kind of shocked, Twiggs was, so I don't know. I sort of feel like I think his community of people didn't like Charlie Kirk, and they probably said it over and over and over again, and he acted out on it, and that's why he sort of felt comfortable sort of saying it to all of them later, and then they all just had to denounce it because they didn't want to be sort of brought up in terms of encouraging it to happen,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I just think it's more likely just that.
Let me share this. I'm sharing that video to Rex.
Okay.
Sent. We will check that out.
I think Tyler just did. Somebody said Tyler takes orders. Okay. All right. Who? The Israeli government, right? Okay.
I mean, we don't have any evidence of that. Matter of fact, we have a lot of evidence against that. It could be the case, but just to jump to that conclusion, I think is the wrong way to do that. Right now,
anything's possible. I guess
anything's possible. There's nothing that's excluding that, other than him not telling the truth when he's talking to Lance Twiggs. If you believe the text for what they say, even Lance Twiggs says he doesn't know what's going on. I have a hard time buying that too. So I'm with you guys. There are some questions left unanswered, and there may always be. It's just how these things.
Charlie Kirk. While it's quiet right now, a team from the FBI arrived not long ago. They got out, prepped everything, and have since entered the home. A few of them investigated the gray Charger in the parking lot that we've seen in surveillance video provided by the FBI.
Now the FBI is delving into every detail
The large screen thing.
Right now, it's a very quiet neighborhood. We spoke to a few neighbors who mentioned just how shocked they were that something. Right now, it's a video provided by the FBI.
Every shot's like perfectly where you can't see it.
Yeah. It doesn't look like there is a Doesn't look
in
like
the gray Charger
Do
in
they
the
even have sunroofs on Challengers? I don't
parking
know.
lot that we've seen in surveillance.
Look,
Can
it's
you
pretty
let,
clear to me that there's not a sunroof right there. So
let me just type it in. Do Dodge
Video provided by the FBI.
Challenger?
Now the FBI is delving into
Right now, it's a very quiet neighborhood. We spoke to a few neighbors who mentioned just how shocked they were that something like this would happen in their town.
Okay, so
Police
they can
have this
be
whole area
equipped.
blocked off. As you can see, there's quite a bit of media here. Lots of people coming to take a look, but we've kind of pushed back to this area so that they can go ahead and investigate.
almost certainly not a sunroof. Right there it is.
Yeah, and it's also kind of near the front of the.
Yeah.
Near the front window. It's like closer to that than the back. I was just looking at it. If you want to see, let me switch over. Really, I'll just switch over. You don't have to zoom in or anything. People can see it. So right there, that's like a blue one.
It's going to be near. Yeah, there. You
See that right there? That's one that has it.
There you go. So that kind of rules that out as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and it's definitely not on that one that we were looking at.
Yep.
So
There's that. Well, what else, Gray? Anything else you can think of? That was cool stuff, though. The fact that somebody just happened to have some aerial imagery.
Yeah, I appreciate that they got a hold of me.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got a hold of me, because imagine getting hold of Candace Owens with the same thing. First of all, it wouldn't see the light of day. And then second, she would just turn it into something totally different. Look out they're doing. Look at that. Those are probably the Egyptian planes that took those photos.
It would have been spun into a narrative of some sort if it would have been shown. And, that's the other thing, too. It's like she just showed photos the other day, a couple weeks ago now, that she'd been holding on to for months and months and months. And she never showed those to anybody. It was the video from behind Charlie Kirk. Like, she'd been holding on to that and not giving that to anybody. There's a lot of information that could have been gleaned from that by a lot of other people actually doing investigatory work, like us. So, and yet she demands all the evidence from everybody else, but the information that she has, she doesn't share. I think, again, it just points once again to some hypocrisy.
Yeah, I think this case, we haven't seen it yet, but I guarantee you they have his DNA is going to be found on the roof itself. When he has his hand up there, they swabbed that. They're going to get touched. I mean, there's just so many angles, and then we don't know yet where the screwdriver was found. If that was up on the roof or was it in the wooded area. I think it was on the roof behind that little wall, and he just sort of forgot it. You got amped up and took off. After putting the rifle together over the wall, I think he just got up and went, took off.
Colton says, you get someone to do something by slowly indoctrination and manipulation. I think Tyler was manipulated into doing what he did. I bet the text would show that. I'm sorry, Gray, that was disrespectful. I don't know what you're talking about as far as disrespectful goes. But
yeah, what are you talking about? What I do? What was disrespectful?
I think it was something he said. He was saying maybe a comment that he said that he thought was disrespectful to you. Look, I mean, humans do a lot of different things, and the other, like we are often, our actions are inexplicable, so often. And the other thing too is, like, once we start projecting our own sensibilities onto what I think is clearly a sociopath. When I'm watching Tyler Robinson in the courtroom, and like the complete lack of emotion or realization of what is going on, but there's no remorse. He's either smiling, or it's just like somebody, like everybody in that courtroom is more somber than he is. I think we get in trouble when we start trying to predict other people's actions by what we would do. And I don't doubt, I think people can get into, number one, you have this guy that was straight, allegedly, gets into this homosexual relationship with this furry gay dude. And even in the Turkey Tom videos, what his friend is talking about is like how fast that whole thing escalated. They went from normal to just weird very quickly. And I think once you get indoctrinated into that, like, I think it is very clear on it using his own agency that he decided to come up with this. Could he have also been influenced? Do I think that they sat around and had conversations about people that didn't like gays or trans? I'm sure they did. Just like, we sit around and talk about the woke right. We sit around and we talk about the left. We talk about the enemies of our country. We all have those types of conversations. The difference is it doesn't incite us to violence, but some people it does. And so, yeah, I mean, trying to predict what other people did or would do based on what you would do, I think you're going to fall short every single time. But that's my 2 cents on it. But I appreciate your comment, Colton.
I mean, it could just be that they, he's in a Tyler Robinson, that was probably his first girlfriend or whatever you want to call it, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever,
Right.
Yeah, but like, it turns out he's trans, and then he wanted to be sort of like a hero to Twigs and take out Charlie Kirk, who,
And to some extent, I think it's fair to look at the trans community especially, but even the LGBTQ. It's like there's a cult-like mentality, right? You are all or nothing. You either support everything that we do or you support nothing, and you're all in, you're willing to fight and die essentially for this cause. I think there's a lot of that built into that community. And so, you know what? This reminds me, this would be a great, I would love to have a behavioral psychologist come on and kind of talk about some of these things that have studied some different criminal case studies. I think that would be really interesting to hopefully someone that knows what they're talking about kind of frame this in a way that makes sense for everybody.
Yeah. What's weird is I would say for at least, if you people on my channel know this, for I don't know, since Caitlyn Jenner won the ESPYs and said that you should be able to compete with the sport you're, I go, oh my God. So since then, like even on my show, like 6-7 years ago, before it was popular, I'd say, you guys, we cannot allow men who claim they're women to compete in female sports. No. And we can't have them do anything and claim they're women that affects any other women. Like, see, here's the thing is women work so hard to finally, they're equal and then kick our ass like a lot of times in different places out there. And the thing is when you start allowing men again to screw you over by having them compete against your daughters, man, it is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I don't have any problem if somebody wants to be transgender and do their thing and hang out with other people and stuff like that. I really don't care at all. What I care about is when it affects the lives of other people, and especially other full classes of people. I mean, imagine being a girl and you work your ass off to get at the 100-meter dash, and you're really good. I mean, hell, you're fastest in the state. And then some guy comes along and goes, "Hey, I'm a girl," and they get out there and they just smoke you. I mean, and they get the first place trophy, and you get second. And it's garbage.
And by the way, they're now competing for scholarships. They're competing for a lot of other opportunities.
It's insane.
And now, not only are they a woman, but now they're also this protected class that a lot of these, schools and things. So now we're redirecting resources away from the women to them. And never mind the fact that now these women with dicks are going into the restrooms. They're going into the changing rooms, the locker rooms. We just had a huge case of this in Loudoun County, where we had a male that decided he was a female, ended up, sexually assaulting multiple students. They moved him from school to school to cover this up, and it was a big deal in Loudoun County.
Oh, that's just, a one-off story.
And look, the one... It was Charlie Kirk that started actually talking about this at a national level, and people started listening. And again, he sat it down with it. It wasn't just like from a biblical perspective, and that's what he did so well. He's like, hey, look, I got the biblical argument over here, but I also have the logical argument over here. And he always went with that. And he was extremely compelling and persuasive. And that's why they killed him.
Shapiro was really good at that, too, when he would debate people.
Extremely good at that.
Yeah, but it's so frustrating. I mean, so let's see. Now you could have a woman first president, but it's actually a guy, No, they'd say, well, it's the first trans. No, they wouldn't want. If you called her a trans first president, they'd get angry because they're a woman, right? So it's the first woman president is actually, so that's where it's just absolutely ludicrous. And I don't be what you want to be. I think that's what like transvestites are kind of like. I think similar to that, like 20 years ago, they hung out, did their things, they dressed as female, they identified as being female and so forth. But I just don't understand how that became a thing. To me, it's almost mind-boggling that became.
It's perverted. It's there's a whole lot of other things that it branches off to from a psychological and just psychosis standpoint. And I think most of us reasonable people, and that was the other thing too. There was such a time before Charlie and other people started speaking out on it, Riley Gaines amongst other, like there was a short period of time where I think a lot of conservatives were shamed into even talking about it because it's like, you're bigoted, you're racist. They got us to shut up. That was courageous people like Charlie Kirk, like Riley Gaines, and many others that were willing to go up there and make the case, make the argument against this and say, this is what's going on. This is why it's wrong. And they all had death threats. They were all like, they were trying to riot at any school that they went to. They tried to stop them from speaking. But yeah, we're supposed to believe that Israel suddenly killed Charlie Kirk. I just don't buy it. It doesn't make sense to me. Why hasn't Israel taken out Candace Owens or
that's the one.
Or now, Tucker Carlson? Like, there's so many other, like, if Israel's going to take people out, there's so many better targets. And by the way, like, they're smart enough to understand that, hey, if I take this out, there's going to be blowback. If I took out Charlie Kirk, even though the only thing that we have from Charlie Kirk, we have a long history. We have a ton of evidence of his love for Israel and his support of Israel. Then we got one little text that they want to build a complete narrative out that he's frustrated with an American Jewish donor. He's just mad at donors, trying to influence what he does or does not do and who he platforms, who he doesn't platform. That doesn't mean that he's completely going to turn into Nick Fuentes. And that's what everybody wants to convince you of. Is like, no, he was turning anti-Semitic. He was going to start talking about how evil Israel is. Because that's a leap that doesn't make sense. And I think anybody that's open and honest, objective would agree to that.
Yeah, because like I said, I've been talking about that issue for 6 years. I'm nowhere near as big as them, so. But I lost a lot of subs. Like during those times, I'd say, "Hey, you guys, we just can't have this. Oh, I'm out of here, Gray." Because it's like people are shamed in, like you were saying, into believing something. And if you hear somebody say something different, you have to pretend that you're really outraged, or you look like, "Wait a minute, you weren't outraged at that? That his comment of." I don't know. It's one of the most frustrating topics that it's not true crime. That's probably why people get the hell out of there. But I wanted to bring it up anyways.
It's worth discussing for sure. Chris says, why is nobody talking about the post before he was killed, saying something big was going to happen? They're all tied to the trans queer group. Yeah. So what she's talking about specifically, for people don't know, is that there were multiple social media posts talking about this. And they were all trans LGBTQ freaking groups that were talking about, oh, something's big is going to happen tomorrow. I do think that those have been investigated at this point. I don't think anything came out of them. I don't know if those were people just talking crap and trying to, like, there's a lot of people that do that. Obviously start making threats online in order to cause a disruption or maybe even canceling the event.
I mean, what if he said something like, "Oh man, and they didn't really believe him." But you know how like people say it, they go, "Hey, watch tomorrow," just in case something. And then it really did happen.
I had somebody in my comments last night, and I was like, "Man, you shouldn't say that." It was in a YouTube comment. It was like, "I can tell you right now," this is what this person said. "I can tell you right now, if Tyler Robinson gets off, I'm taking him out." That's what that person said, quote unquote. And I was like, "Woo, we shouldn't say that." But a lot of people, out of emotion, say a lot of things, and if it doesn't mean that they're actually going to act on it, it doesn't mean they did act on it, doesn't mean they're part of a conspiracy. It's just the truth. Should those things be investigated? Absolutely. Have they been investigated? I don't know. I think they have. But I do think that the potential that we have left is that there was a larger conspiracy on the outside of that. Could that have been pushed through a foreign entity, could have been pushed through like these George Soros types 764 or 09A, or all of those things are possibilities. What to me is just not a possibility, given what we know, is that there was an additional shooter. He was shot with a palm gun, camera gun, tunnels underneath him, the French, Israel. Like, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. And I'm not going to participate in throwing out actual evidence for your pet conspiracy that you have nothing to present for it. You just want to convince me to believe and use all this other weird stuff that you got to build upon and build upon and build upon with nothing other than your wild imagination. I'm just not going to do that. And if you present me with actual evidence that somebody else was involved, there's different, I'm all over it. Let's find that out. But you can't present any evidence whatsoever. And the thing that I think Gray and I get frustrated with, I know I do, I want to speak for him, is how many people knowingly lie. When Baron Coleman is telling you that he was in custody at 6:25 on the 12th, that's a lie. That's intentional, period. When Candace Owens is telling you that Brian Harpole is at Fort Huachuca, that's a lie. When, all of these things, like, they know it's not true. And that's why they have to hide the exculpatory information that they have. They omit that completely so that their narrative survives just the common sense smell test. So that's where we're at. Greg, any last words for the viewers?
Nope, I don't have anything, but I appreciate you having me come on, and maybe we'll do some more. You're supposed to be sending me more stuff. Hopefully we'll, I don't know what else might be in there, but it's just great coming on and talking to you and all of your viewers and my viewers, I guess, apparently on my channel.
Well, listen, folks, people like Gray and I need your support. And one of the best ways you can support what we do is sharing our content. So anytime you see it, just share it. When I see a video of Gray's come out, I need to look at it necessarily. I try to watch them all, but I just share it right away. Like, I believe in what he's doing. And I know he's going to tell the truth, and I know he's integrity. And that's what we're here for. The truth is what's important. And the little lies have such damaging effect, and they grow so big that it's hard to foresee it a lot of time. That's why we have to constantly be out there fighting those, slapping those down. Like, no, we're not playing this game, and we need you all to be doing that as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the truth. It's becoming more rare every single day, and hope you enjoyed all the, the drama with Elizabeth Only Spies Lane. But yeah, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, folks. So thank you for tuning in. Gray, you don't go anywhere. But for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. All right. We're going to be going live at 3 p.m. then also at 7 p.m. as well. So until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you.